We are back. Welcome everyone to True Footy and Footy from the Flat for season 2026. I appreciate you all being here today. Today's show will be the start of a string of preseason shows before we start getting into season proper. There has been a lot of work behind the scenes on this channel. If you look, there's a brand new set, which Dylan and Vicar have put in an incredible amount of work to revamp. And I would love to sit here and bask in it, but we've got a lot to cover today. There's been a lot of positive change behind the scenes on this channel and some unfortunate stuff that has been made public very recently that I think that we are somewhat forced to address on this show. So in today's video, I am going to address a video that was made about this channel and us specifically. And before that, I will introduce my co-host who I have ignored up to this point. Dylan, how are you, mate?
Been better. Definitely been better. We're gearing up for the show, very exciting to kick into the new season, but we sort of had a bit of a curveball during the week. And like I was saying to you just before, it's not sort of something I've ever experienced before. So it's I found the experience pretty difficult, to be honest. And overall, I just found the video completely dishonest. Something we'll get through it in the video, and I'll let you kick things off, and then I'll probably just say a few words from my side as well.
Absolutely. So if I haven't made it clear, what we're referring to is the fact that we are not going to be working with Druzy on Footy from the Flat in season 2026. And as I alluded to, Druzy made a video sort of publicly airing all of his grievances, and I took great disappointment and offense to that video. And in this video, or in this stream today, I've actually prepared a written statement. I find that I think more clearly when I get the chance to write it down first and read it to you. So forgive me, but I am going to do my best to cover all the facts. I've asked Dylan so that I can speak first, and then Dylan will also give his 2 cents. So let's get straight into it. We will be talking about footy. We just need to do this first. In 2026, Footy from the Flat will not be featuring Druzy as a presenter. This decision was reached a number of weeks ago, and while I had hoped the details of this decision would be kept discreet, my hand has been forced by recent events that I will discuss with you all today. The fact of the matter is Druzy proved to be very difficult to work with for both Dylan and I over the course of last season. I will admit to feeling awkward about how to explain his exit from the show, as I did not feel a public character assassination of my friend who was dealing with disappointment was the fair or loyal thing to do. I directly asked Druzy what he thought the most respectful way to deal with the situation was, and he replied that he would make a video about what happened. So that is why this has come to light right before we launched our first show for its second season. I had several problems with the video Druzy decided to upload. The video glossed over critical details, exaggerated or overfocused on some irrelevant ones, and ultimately misled the viewer to believe that I had been manipulated by Dylan into kicking my friend off the show because they didn't get along. I will also put it on record that I don't respect Druzy's decision to publicly air his dirty laundry and feel this has crossed the line in our friendship, but I suppose that is between Druzy and I. As I see it, Druzy had 2 motivations for making the video that he did. The first one is to feel heard, agreed with, and sympathised with by playing the victim in a situation in which he is not one. And the second one is to vindictively target myself and Dylan and drag our names through the mud. There is nothing else that could have been gained from doing this. There has been a flood of hateful comments on both Dylan and my channel as a result of this video, so I want to go ahead and establish some anchoring truths that you may or may not be aware of. Firstly, Druzy was not invited back onto Footy from the Flat due to a prolonged period of behaviour that could be described as disrespectful, inconsiderate and selfish. It was not entirely down to his lack of effort with respect to the show, but when you combine that with a personality clash, working with him was often a difficult task. These were feelings shared by both Dylan and I gave Druzy this feedback both in real time and in recent times. The second really important fact is that Footy from the Flat is a Dylan Alexander creation. People may not be aware that the show would not be possible without him, given it's filmed at his house. We're in his living room right now, taking up a great amount of his personal space, and the setup is enormous. With thousands of dollars worth of his equipment and produced by his wife, who has volunteered countless hours of her time helping us build the show. Dylan also puts an incredible amount of preparation into each show. Druzy was Dylan's first co-presenter, and it is true that he connected Dylan and I before I asked Dylan if he would consider hosting the show on True Footy, to which he agreed. I say this to establish the separation between channel and show, and that it is not my place to tell Dylan who he can and can't have on the show. Now, I could list all of the things that made working with Druzy difficult behind the scenes, but I will resist that temptation. What I will say, however, is that within a month of being over here in Melbourne, I was beginning to regret making the decision to move over here and do the show. There was a night I gave Druzy some really strong feedback over his behaviour, and to his credit, he did improve. Our working relationship still had friction, but our personal relationship got better. Dylan later in the piece informed me that if I had not arrived from Perth in the middle of the year, he had no intention of working with Druzy once Druzy had returned from Europe. It is important to note that Dylan and Druzy do not have a 6-year-long friendship prior to this. So from Dylan's perspective, the partnership had gone badly pretty immediately, but I will let Dylan speak to that more. I found there were many emotionally manipulative tactics used in Druzy's video. He focused heavily on justifying his lack of effort and reliability for the show. It is true that this was a problem in working with him. At the establishment of the show, it was agreed Dylan would provide the production, I would provide the platform and drive a lot of the content strategy, and Druzy was simply tasked with the thumbnails. And not only did he more often than not fail to provide them, on every single occasion, he would not tell me he wouldn't be able to do them until I had asked, often several days after the videos were ready to go. In his video, Druzy explained that a medical episode he had, which kept him in bed for weeks, was a factor in this. This thing that happened was entirely legitimate and true, but the time frame was completely wrong. It was deliberately shoehorned into the video to garner sympathy, and I did not like this. It made it seem as though we were unreasonable and unsympathetic, and it's manipulative. In any case, I will once again emphasize that Druzy's lack of effort with the channel was a small part of the problem, and that our issues stem largely toward the rest of his behaviour. Druzy publicly accused me of a lack of loyalty in this situation. I will tell you what I told him straight to his face twice. I showed Druzy as much, if not more, loyalty than I felt he deserved in the situation. Despite my own misgivings about working together, my position with Dylan was that we should start 2026 as a trio, having freshly established boundaries and a pay split that more fairly reflected our efforts than what it was previously. I cannot force Dylan to have whoever I want in his house on his show, and I respect Dylan's preference to not resume working with Druzy. As an intended act of friendship, I offered to share Just the Tips with Druzy, a show that I've been doing since 2019. This offer would have cost me money in revenue splits and created a more difficult editing burden, but it was the best that I could do. Druzy declined this offer, and I respect his reasons for doing that. The only other thing that I could have done in this situation was walk away from the show myself. From my perspective, I've worked tirelessly to make the show a success and had a strong working relationship with Dylan, and I was not willing to throw that away because Druzy had squandered his own opportunity of being on the show. I also couldn't tell Dylan I disagreed with his reasons, and this was all communicated by me to Druzy. I did not appreciate how long Druzy spent emphasising how long we've been friends. It was disguised as praise, and it was a deliberate ploy to lead the audience to the question, well, if they're such good friends, how could Jesse betray him? Druzy also offered a lie at the end of this show that I did not appreciate. He said that he offered to create a show that he would fully produce with me, but that I declined to do that to work with Dylan instead. What he omitted was that I replied saying, I have no faith that he would deliver on that, and I know that all of the work would fall to me. When I said that, he kind of laughed and told me that was true. To shoehorn this point into the video was a disingenuous, cheap shot. If anything sums up this situation with Druzy, it's the fact that he did have the nerve to ask to borrow my camera to film the video that he made. I'm nearly there. It is true that it was me who had the difficult conversation with Druzy that he would no longer be on the show. I want to establish that Dylan did not specifically ask me to do his dirty work. I took the responsibility of having that conversation because I felt it would be best coming from me, and I also live with Druzy. I do not believe that Dylan has the same burden of loyalty to Druzy that I do. I felt that I was doing the right thing given the circumstances. It seems I am copying criticism for that decision just the same. Druzy accused me of taking the path of least resistance. I assure you, this has been the furthest thing from that. The past few weeks have been a roller coaster of emotions. Druzy and I have had several long chats about this situation. I've had to be more brutally honest than I'm usually comfortable being. There have been times where I've been really impressed with how Druzy has taken this disappointment. He has, at times, shown great self-awareness and appeared to really accept the feedback he was given. Naturally, it's an emotional time and his emotions have cycled pretty hard. It was disappointing to see in that video that he went back on a lot of... It was disappointing to see that in the video he went back on a lot of what he had previously taken responsibility for. It's evident that him saying, I take accountability for Dylan's grievances, was limited to simply saying those words out loud, whilst everything in that video told a different story. I believe deep down Druzy is a fundamentally good person, and not a bad one. He has some really great traits that I genuinely admire. I do feel empathy for my friend who is experiencing a great disappointment, and I believe that anger and rumination have led him to warp the reality of the situation in his mind to one that is easier to feel angry or let down about. That's an easier emotion to sit with than rejection. I'm angered by his decision to make a video about this situation, which has led to Dylan and I receiving the worst online hate we've both had to ever experience. I think he has great capacity to learn from his mistakes, and I think he has the talent and the drive to be very successful, be it on YouTube or somewhere else, but it won't be on Dylan's show. Thank you for indulging in that. That was very long. Dylan, I guess I'll throw to you to say your side.
Yeah, no, thanks for clarifying some of that stuff, Jesse. I'm going to try to work my way through this, and I hope, I know that I'm probably going to go at times maybe into a little bit too much detail, but I sort of just feel like I want to clarify a few things there about the relationship, and I'll probably will cross over a few things that Jesse kind of already said, but I guess it's just from my perspective and maybe to kind of get this out of my body a little bit as well. The contribution piece, that was probably the first thing in that video that disappointed me, because we'd actually been quite respectful to Druzy about the fact that he never really contributed to the channel in any way. He was always, for every episode that he appeared on, he was paid completely equally. As Jesse mentioned, my wife does produce the podcast, and she's agreed to do that for us for free, as well as like the investment in the show. So there's an element with that you need to have a bit of respect for the space that you're working in as well, because it is very close to our house. So in that sense, I feel, reading some of the comments, it was kind of based around us sort of weirdly leeching off Druzy. I saw comments about myself leeching off Druzy, Jesse leeching off Druzy, and it felt really, really unfair, because I feel like my relationship with Druzy was completely accommodating, particularly at the beginning when I approached him to do the show. We met briefly, and I knew of his online presence, and I'd really wanted to get this show off the ground for quite a long time. I knew in the content space, on the YouTube space, that there wasn't many people doing collaborative content in a single space that had that kind of high energy feel that you see in other sports, and I wanted to bring that. And it's difficult because it is very expensive to make this kind of content. So as I was very passionate about it and I was getting into YouTube, sorry for my throat, I put this together, and I sort of invested everything that I had in the show. I approached Druzy to come on, and I was excited, but I could tell from the beginning that he was quite hesitant about it, about working with me, which I sort of understood because he didn't know me very well. I think when the pieces sort of came together later, I probably understand that he didn't see me as someone that was in sort of I would call it the cool kids group of YouTube. That's maybe a little bit more difficult to explain, but quickly after I approached him and pitched the show to him, he sort of tentatively agreed. But I got a message from Jesse sometime in the next couple of weeks saying that Druzy had sort of pitched the idea to him. And it was kind of a perfect timing situation where Jesse was moving over from Western Australia to Melbourne. He'd come back from overseas. So we could all sort of get together. We could use essentially Jesse's platform to put the channel together, and we could use this show idea that I had and the production equipment to kind of join forces and make something really good. There was always that element with Druzy where Jesse was sort of bringing the channel. I was bringing the production sort of expertise and equipment and the place to do it, to kind of save money on costs. And Druzy probably didn't have a part in that, in a sense. And he was probably, and I don't know if that affected some of his behavior, but from very early on I would call this the pre-Druzy section of all of this. The pre-Jesse section of all of this, before Jesse had moved over to Melbourne from Western Australia. Druzy was I found him very moody when he would come on the show. He was usually concerned with something that was going on with the show, that it wasn't working properly. We had some issues with streaming bit rate and choppiness in the stream, and he'd just make passive aggressive comments constantly, and he was kind of unhappy, and it just sort of felt like he was waiting around for Jesse to get on that show. So it was actually what he wanted to do. And given the work that I'd put into the entire thing, it felt very disrespectful to me that I was trying to put it together, and it didn't feel enjoyable, and it didn't feel like that idea that I had about high energy and collaboration that I sort of expected. At that point, because we'd had the fact that Jesse was moving across, I sort of needed to figure all of this out. And there were small little things of behavior, asking me to help him do some content of his own that I went out and shot for him. And he was quite disrespectful to me about that. And he forced the editing on me for that, certain things that were just really, really difficult in the way that he spoke to me. I started to bring guests on the show, which again was the idea from the beginning about collaborating with a wide range of content creators. And he would write passive-aggressive comments in the chat the next day about the type of people that we were getting on and his unhappiness to work with that person and how that made the channel look, which was sort of twofold for me because it annoyed me because I thought he was disrespecting the people that were coming on the channel, but he was also in a way disrespecting my character and my choice to have that person and who I could sort of judge as a good person. And it felt really, really disrespectful. It sort of came, I remember when Jesse first arrived, he was more jovial about being on the podcast at that point. But the first time we actually went out, I think we did our first ever live stream together and we went out afterwards and he actually pulled me up on the guest situation and said that from now on, I need to put in the group chat to him who's coming on the channel so he could vet them. And I bit back at that point and I showed that I was unhappy with the way that he was working. And I could only describe that as he didn't care. He just gave his reason for why that was. And he wasn't considering that from my point of view. And whether he didn't want to consider it or that was sort of just built into him, I'm not too sure. But there were conversations throughout the year and there was tension throughout the year with little pieces like that I just felt were really difficult. As Jesse said in his statement, I said to Jesse as soon as he came over, like essentially, what's the deal with this guy? And you've obviously been friends with him for a long time and is this sort of something that you would expect? And Jesse said to me at the time, and I hope I'm not overstepping by saying this, but you said, this isn't the person that I remember from when I was back in Western Australia with him. And I said, okay. I said, if you weren't coming over and being involved with this, there's probably no chance that I was going forward with this. Let's see what happens. Jesse wanted to see what the living situation was like. And we kind of left it a little bit. I don't want to go into the specific details. There's sort of, for me, there's an emotional situation where I think it was probably the final straw for me, which was, I'm not actually not going to say the specific details, but I could only describe it as severely lacking empathy from his behalf, which was again ironic in the video that he made because he kind of used that. And I feel like that video was just smothered with everything that I'd spoken to him about and everything I'd discussed with him. He was basically turning that on me in the video. And I had all of that coming back at me through comments on videos, even on other channels that I'd collaborated with, starting to receive hateful comments and stuff like that, which is kind of all of the connections that I've made. It's starting to affect those, just affect my standing in the YouTube space. So I'm really, really disappointed with that. And I feel, as Jesse said, he's got a longer friendship, so it's much more complicated. And that made all of this more complicated because I was dealing with Jesse, who I really liked working with. And we had this show, and I think the show was doing really, really well, and I felt really proud of it. But I didn't enjoy the part that was with Druzy at all. And at the same time, to end the show, it felt really fucked up because it meant that, for example, Jesse would lose the show, I would lose the show because of Druzy. And that's why we continued to do it. And Jesse and I had conversations about that at the end of the season. And he said to me, if you're not going to be able to enjoy the show next year, we can't go on like this. And that was essentially the decision that was made. I really don't feel that there was any level of backstabbing or anything like this. There was a disconjointed line of communication, I would say. But I feel like Druzy's severely manipulated that into making it sound like I'm the perpetrator here in a situation that he knew for a long time about. And it's almost like he needed this very direct communication to be told. And I'm not I'm not a parent to him. I'm older than he is. And I never wanted to have that relationship and never want to have those relationships with young people where I'm telling them how to behave and telling them what to do. But I do have the choice to be able to stop working with him. And that's all I've done here. It's not actually a lot deeper than that. It's strange that we're actually sitting here having this conversation on this episode, which is a football show. I'm kind of shocked. And I think overall, one last thing to touch on there is just the fact that he was constantly in that video also calling me a friend, which is just an extra thing that I found disappointing. I'm a person that's quite small circles, and I actually don't have a lot of friends. I just sort of have close friends, and it's a different experience for me. It's not just simply knowing someone and deciding whether I think they're in the cool kids group or whatever that is, or thinking that I can get something from them. It's a little bit deeper than that. So I never considered Druzy a friend. And for that reason, for me, there was no loyalty involved in making this decision. And the only difficult part of this decision, empathetically, was around Jesse and his friendship to Druzy. So I want to make that part really clear as well. The last thing I'm going to do, and I kind of went back and forward with this, but I'm going to read you the last piece of communication that I had with Druzy, which is completely different to the video that he released. And just kind of give you some of the back and forwards that we've had around that taking accountability piece, which seems to be more coming from him in words rather than actions, which was always the problem in the first place. I don't really care what he says. I care what he does. And this is his message. He said, "Hey boys, now I've spoken to you both and the dust has settled. I can be more rational than reactive and less emotional with what's going on. Hopefully this will be the last annoying conversation we need to have. Every word I say I truly do mean, so I hope it doesn't come across, for lack of a better term, wank. First of all, Dill, thanks for the opportunity to be on your show last year. It's been nothing but a pleasure working with you. You're adding so much to True Footy, and even though you may feel I disrespected you at times, this was never my intention. I have nothing but admiration for you. You're a great asset to the channel, and more importantly, a great person. Your growth in the space in a short amount of time is admirable and a testament to your hard work and professionalism, which is something I can learn from. I'm sorry you don't feel the same way. I think my busy schedule in 2025, along with an unchecked ego that I will work on, lacks communication. Generally growing up and a lack of accountability is probably the cause of why I might have been difficult to work with. I'm going to work on this and be a better person and professional. Whilst I believe this could have worked through and provides room for me to grow, I have to accept your decision and not resist what is best for the channel going forward. As tough of a pill it is to swallow, I do hope the bridge isn't burnt between us still, because although I may have been difficult to work with, I hope you remember the good times we shared as well. I do hope our last time presenting together hasn't occurred, maybe through earning my stripes, growing up, and with time you'll be comfortable with all of that. Whenever you're ready to grab a beer or coffee, I know me and Jesse would like that." That's the final correspondence I received from Jesse, which...
From Druzy.
Sorry.
That's important detail.
So many names. That is the final communication I received from Druzy. It ended with "True Footy to the moon." And then he posted that video. So that was kind of the shot from the side. So that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. I would really like to, at this point, just put this to bed. And I hope everything that we've said today, I'm sure there's things that we've missed, little details, because obviously it's all happened over the last year, but I hope this has kind of somewhat made everything a little bit more understandable and at least put it from our side, and we could sort of share how we feel.
Well said, Dill. A number of things occurred to me while you were speaking there. I think I'm going to lean towards let's leave it there. What I'll say for Drews is the message he sent is beautiful. Like the message he sent there was really self-aware. I had conversations with him where he was like that, and he does have great capacity to improve on some traits that he has or weaknesses. We've all got them, and he does have the ability to come back. The way that I understand this has happened from an impression is that in response to maybe seeing the promo Instagram posts that we put up where we sort of look obnoxious, with the Step Brothers pick, I think Drews went from being okay to having a surge of rage and made this video in response. And he needs to be held accountable for that. And that's what this is. This is us doing that and responding. And, you know, I genuinely feel, I hope my friend is not taking this too hard, but this needed to happen. And that's all I've got.
I think, and I know, like, he's a younger guy. I think it's like to put a video out like that. It's like, it can be quite dangerous for the vitriol that feeds back. And I want to just end this by saying I have zero desire for anyone to go after Druzy and hit him with this. And please don't go into his comments and write anything if that's what you are going to do in response to this. I honestly just want to leave it. Yeah. And I never wanted any of this to happen. I never wanted I just ended a partnership with a person that I was working with last year, which I feel was in my right, and I sort of just can't get rid of it. And there's been a bit of I feel at this point with the entire experience of working with him, it's just like a bit of a time vacuum for me where I'm constantly putting out fires, and I'd like it to end. Yeah.
And on that note, I think we end it. I think we've covered it. I appreciate everyone indulging. It's, you know, I didn't really want to be in this position, but it felt wrong to ignore it. So I think we leave it there. And thanks for everyone for being here.
We are transitioning this into a normal stream.
To a football show.
So I don't know how the transition will go from what we've just talked about.
Seamlessly.
So we haven't even checked the comments.
I have been looking.
You have been looking. Yeah. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
I haven't.
Chaos free. We were prompted a few times to move on, but that's it. That's all. So thanks for everyone being here and letting us speak for a bit. So, Dill, how was your summer, bro?
Yeah, great, man. Yes, I actually got up to... Sorry, I'm fixing this microphone as we speak. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Went up to Sydney over the Christmas period, which was a really nice getaway. Summer, beach. It's not really my style, actually. It's the first sort of holiday that I've kind of done like that. So that was cool. Nice. What about yourself?
Yeah, stayed in Melbourne, didn't go home to Perth. Hopefully we'll do that sometime throughout the year. And I'll be honest, it's been nice to live my life like a normal person, which is just working full time and having my weekends. I love this show, but I just mean I was working two full-time jobs for like the first 6 months being here, and it's been nice to decompress a little bit. That being said, we should probably talk a little bit about how the show is going to look this year.
Good.
First of all, visually, like you guys have, Dylan and Vic, our producer, have put in a mountain of work. Like this would have taken some genuine time, money, and effort, and it looks fantastic.
This thing really spiraled. It started off with, we'll put these side pieces in just to give it a little bit more contrast. And we were still going to be set up in the same position. We've kind of tilted this sort of, I guess, 90 degrees in a way. So we're facing a different way, but we're still in the same space, essentially. Just grew and grew and grew. We put it together, and I think it's come up looking pretty schmick in the end. So happy with it. And yeah.
Someone in the comments, Reese, says, can we get an explanation on the things on the shelves?
Ooh, good idea.
This is a football, and I'm out. What else?
This is an old vintage football.
Yeah, was that like before they looked like that? Did they look like that?
Yes. Yeah. So it looks more like a soccer ball, but it's like a really old vintage AFL ball before it went egg-shaped. You know what I mean? So I'll put that up there. We have here the Tasmanian logo jumper. Apparently that is the first Tasmanian state jumper.
Wow.
And given that I'm from Tasmania, that sort of is there sitting behind me. We've got some books about Australian football. We actually working on this little logo for the show, so we might have some merch coming in the near future. So that's going to be cool. Little speaker. There's not really much. MCG over near Jesse, and some cups with like vintage football boots on them. And this one has a vintage football. So that is the shelves.
There's some caster wheels down there, a 4-kilo dumbbell, and a box of highlighters.
Yeah, I never use that to actually do weights. It's just a heavy thing to put on things.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Should we talk about footy?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, we do want to talk about maybe the structure of the show. I do also want to acknowledge people in the chat. New Heaven says new set is fire. Heath says you guys weren't joking about AFL version of the kickoff, YouTube drama and all.
Good one.
Let us know in the chat how your summer was. Sorry, Spaniard. And lower classes, new set is class. Thank you. Birdman says more bathroom breaks this season. Oh, you bet. I've really worked on doubling down on that. So yeah, look out for that.
Yep.
So show structure.
Can I actually tell a quick funny story about that?
Sure.
That actually that actually required a discussion because we naturally went for I used to sit on the of screen, the right hand side of screen, right, which I think I am now in this spot.
Yes.
And we actually had to decide. We were like, ooh, if we put Jesse on that side now, though, he's going to be further away from the bathroom and have to walk through more cameras.
Yeah.
So do we switch it over, or is that going to be jarring for the audience?
The camera that's pointed at me is strategically placed so I have room to walk behind it, open the door. That was a genuine conversation.
It's kind of like instructions to the bathroom, right? How to get there.
Yeah, but I'm not quite there yet, but I'm close. Let's just talk about the show structure straight off the bat, right? So our plan is over the next 3 Saturdays, I think we'll be doing Saturday shows, Saturday morning in this current routine where we are doing preseason content live, of course, every Saturday. We'll aim for about 11 every day, every time, I mean.
Yep.
Following that, once the preseason games start, we're actually moving this to a Monday show. So I've taken a day off work permanently as of the 23rd of Feb. And once the preseason games start, that will be the primary day we film and we do our live shows. And that will be the case throughout the season. And we will still occasionally do the game day watch-alongs. I guess from a content point of view, we found that just doing watch-alongs actually didn't really help numbers. So we're going to do a combination of both and do a regular Monday show. I think that's it, actually.
I think you covered that pretty well.
Covered that, yeah.
Yeah. So more sort of transitioning into a regular footy show. And I think doing that on Monday, we'll be able to sort of talk more about the in a way, like more of a review. Talk about the news that's happened across the weekend, the games, unpack them a little bit, do a bit of analysis and stuff. So I am looking forward to it.
Me too, my friend. Jalhala has dropped $2.99. Thank you so much. He says, much love, legends. I'm gender assuming there, forgive me. They say, much love, legends. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. New Heaven asks, are we watching the State of Origin? That's on Saturday the 14th. So we actually had to have a very brief discussion about whether we would stream the game. I have a partner and this will be our first Valentine's Day together on the 14th of February. So I made the executive decision to be unavailable for the night. So we're going to do Saturday morning.
I was like, Vicar, do you want to stream?
So no,
new love.
I probably won't even be able to watch it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just chuck it on in the background at dinner.
I'll definitely watch it. I might pop a little review on my channel if I get around to watching it. It should be fun though. Are you someone that buys into the State of Origin?
No. I do think the key element to State of Origin being cool is that there is an established rivalry over time. Yep. These one-off games are merely a one-off spectacle, and I don't really care. But if this became like the rugby league, I think it's league.
Yes.
State of Origin? It's league,
yes,
right? Yeah.
That is league. Yes.
Yeah. We know our sports. Yeah, if this became a year-on thing, then I think I would get more invested in. But that being said, I don't want to shit on the format. Like, it's a cool concept. They're trying something that people have been asking for years.
And someone in the comments did mention that, am I a new Tassie fan? I mentioned that before. I'm from Tasmania, so naturally a Tasmania fan. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm someone that's particularly tribal about that State of Origin. It's just not really, I think like you said, you covered it pretty well there. Did you catch any of the footy stuff that was happening in the off season, any of the news? Did you see that viral Carlton training video?
I did see
at
that.
least.
Yeah, I did see that. That was funny. It's hard to know if that's just a really unfortunate stitch up. We have no context to that video. I mean, people still took it and ran with it. I read that Kane Corns tore it apart, as you can imagine.
Yeah, he ripped it.
But it did feel like that could have just been a really unfortunate time to start filming.
Yeah.
It could have been at the end of the hot session. Maybe the answers are out there and I don't know, but I wouldn't take too much from that.
It's funny though, like it almost feels in that sense like it's entering a new space where teams even have to be worried about their training sessions. Because traditionally these teams, like they're on little grounds in the suburbs of Melbourne, right? There's not a lot of way of like stopping people coming in and filming them and whatnot. And that went so far. I feel like that's such a black mark on them coming into the season now, how people are judging them.
Yeah.
And almost from Michael Voss's perspective, that's become a bit of a big deal, I feel. It's like his players, like the way that he's training and stuff like that. So it's it adds pressure.
Absolutely. I think that it'd be an interesting flow-on effect to influencers in this space as well. And, just the average person. But Carlton's just seen this incredibly viral video of their training session go viral for the wrong reasons. And, I if I'm not mistaken, the footage was posted by a Carlton influencer or content creator.
YouTuber, My Blue Haven.
Yeah, Heath, I think his name is. So, I just hope that doesn't have a negative impact on my friends in the space. But
that's a good point. Didn't think about that.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. But I wouldn't take too much of it. I think there are some doubts around Carlton this year. I'm not saying they're correct, but naturally with the players they've had leave, there does seem to be a negative swirl, which could play into their hands a little bit, I reckon.
I haven't released the video yet, but I did put a best 23 together of Carlton.
Okay.
And if you're playing the game on paper, you're putting that team together, it looks bad. It just looks objectively bad. The midfield, you got your Crippers, your George Hewitts, Adam Chera, Jagger Smith is going to come into that, but obviously he's not going to contribute too much. It's around that looks really, really worrisome to me. Mm-hmm. The back line, it's like they have that spine, they have the midfield, but nothing else around it. They just don't really have any quality players. They bring in Hayward, they bring in Ollie Florent, but I don't overall know exactly where the goals are going to come from, and I don't know how they're going to move the ball. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I do think it's clearly a list in transition. Excuse me. When you lose TDK and Curnow, what we do know is that they have Cody Walker. They just got Harry Dean.
Yep, that's a silver lining.
That's just the ones off the top of my head. Jagger Smith. So, from a list point of view, there is a movement there. So at this moment in time, I don't think it's geared to win a premiership. It's a little bit unclear exactly what they're capable of. I did feel that last year, I still think that a lot of their best players when they're on the park weren't playing to the level that we had come to expect of them. So from that point of view, I think Carlton do have some upside.
Yeah, who would you put into that bracket not to put you on the spot there?
You have put me on the spot, and I am so cold coming into this season. I did make some notes, but for the first one that comes to mind, a couple of players like Patrick Cripps. He won the Brownlow the year before, right?
Yeah. He had a slightly lesser year, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sam Walsh is a player that I think
he's a big one.
Yeah. There's a few more. I know that they did have some injury concerns as well. But I think where Carlton probably need to improve is just their punish with the footy.
100%.
So we know they're a strong contested side, midfield side, but the players that they brought in, none of them are stalwarts, but guys like Ainsworth and potentially Campbell Chesser.
Your boy.
No, but I do think that at least in terms of style, those players do actually go into the bracket of improving something that they.
It creates a better balance, doesn't it?
Yeah, they need some speed and polish.
Yeah.
Chesser has speed, not so much polish, but
I think sometimes as well, to play devil's advocate on that, the ball use thing is sometimes built into game style. And what I mean by that is they've been so built around a Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow forward line. You watch them at times, different phases of the game, their players just automatically want to kick and kick long, and they don't want to move the ball with hands. They don't want to get it closer to the arc and hit that kind of money ball going inside 50. They want to move it as quickly as possible and as long as possible to get those guys isolated.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's putting too much pressure on those guys, and it's a lot easier to defend from the opposition. So actually changing that mentality inside the players to go, when I come out of stoppage, I'm not going to just kick the shit out of the ball. I'm going to bring it back into the corridor. I'm going to start moving the ball towards the corridor to give us better entries overall, and they'll be less predictable going inside forward 50. So I think that could help. The team still looks shit on paper. That's probably my only point overall.
Just got a comment here from Lower Class Brum. Says, you praise Carlton's transfer activity as a good start to a rebuild in the last stream. Now the team on paper sucks. Are both of these things true? Which I'm sorry, I'm coming into this I need to warm up.
Yeah.
It's like taking an exam and then forgetting all the content.
Yeah.
But who said that? Was that me or you?
I definitely praised their I said
like
that
the trade period stuff.
to refresh this list,
Yeah.
and make changes to it. It was a better thing.
Yeah.
That didn't mean that I meant in 2026
Sure.
they were going to launch up the ladder.
No.
So I think the team looks really poor on paper. I think where the benefit comes for Carlton is that they've got all these young players, like you mentioned, that are coming through in the next few drafts. They've got the Walkers, they've got Dean last year. They're not going to do anything this year, though. You can't look at a Harry Dean or even a Jagger Smith for that matter and go, he's going to significantly improve them yet. Back off a knee. I think the list changes that were positive are about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And I think the way they handled that situation, given they have a Cody Walker and a father-son this year.
Exactly.
And then, getting Jagger Smith, like from that point of view, I think they played their cards pretty well and they've banked picks for Kerno for the next 2 first rounds. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can see the separation there.
Essendon,
where were we going with that?
I don't know. I think we're just kind of trying to segue into the football chat.
We're a little rusty.
After the beginning. Yep, definitely. Absolutely,
It's been
definitely.
an emotional time.
It really has. I did want to ask you about a couple of players that could be heading west. A couple of off-field dramas to the likes of Lachie Neale
Oh, yeah.
and Bobby Hill, who both, not originally from Western Australia for Lachie Neale, but he does obviously have the ties there with everything that's happened. Would they be a welcome addition to West Coast?
It's a good question. I think that Lachie Neale specifically, let's start with him because I think the answer is different for both of them, to be honest, but vastly different situations. But with Lachie Neale, I do wonder if it was ever going to be right, probably it would have been last off season, the one that just passed. I was going to say, for the point of view, like, what if he drops off and then he is there merely as a leader? I suppose that's still positive. Then I remembered in the grand final he went absolutely ape.
I know. I had that exact same thing where I'm like, yeah, he was declining last year until that game.
Look, actually, to be honest, I think I've just talked myself into it. I think we'll wait and see what happens this year.
Yeah.
But I think so. I think he would be a welcome addition. I'm not convinced that he would do it. But as an aside, I thought the way that situation was reported on was pretty shameful. I didn't really indulge in the public breakdown of
it
his
was
marriage.
on my Instagram
It was on 7 News.
every day.
It's 7 News every day. Like, it sounds like maybe one person was at fault more than the other in this situation,
Sure.
but like, give them a break.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, I think it's hard to argue that West Coast wouldn't need a person like Lachie Neale in their organisation in 12 months' time.
Yeah, I actually, in that situation, I had to laugh where he was obviously had to do the press conference, and I think he had to do the press conference because he was giving up the captaincy, right?
Yeah.
And then they interviewed Chris Fagan, like they stuck a mic in front of Chris Fagan kind of to get his thoughts on it. And he's got our blessing to go over to Western Australia if he needs to go back. And I feel like Chris Fagan was just going like, I need to get this turd off my doorstep right now. Not Lachie Neale as the turd, but like this situation.
I know.
Like pretty much like we're going for the three-peat here. And as much as Lachie Neale has been a brilliant player, they probably don't need him. The distraction is worse for them than the potential of losing Lachie Neale. So I thought that was quite funny for him just to want to clear the decks. It kind of reminded me of when there's like you go to put your resignation in for a job or something like that, and you expect that you're going to get a lot of like, no, like we want you to stay, right?
Yeah.
and then they're kind of like, I think that'll be good for you.
Yeah.
Like you can leave.
Yeah, that's true. At the risk of going into this topic more than I said I wanted to, his ex-wife is from Perth. He's not. So
Yeah.
it does seem odd that he would follow her there. So I don't know if there's much to
I guess
that.
it's the children point, right? We're going into this too
Oh,
deeply.
good point. Yes, good point.
It's-
Yes, we are getting too deep. As somebody just says, this is now this is actually now an AFL drama show. Topics covered today, the co-host situation, the Carlton video leak, and now Lachie Neale scandal.
I did try to keep the Lachie Neale thing about the football there, but
I took it away from it.
it naturally sort of had to come in there. We spoke about Bobby Hill. How big of if he was to leave and he doesn't play any more football again this year, given where their list profile is at, so many aging players, he's one of the few, he's a Norm Smith medalist, I think people forget that. At 25 years of age, he's one of the few
Lachie
players.
Neale? Did you say?
I've done this again.
No, maybe it was
Bobby
my
Hill.
fault. Bobby Hill, sorry.
Bobby Hill,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
He's one of the few players that's actually in his prime at the moment. They've had significant injuries at the beginning of the season that could hold them back. Is this like the worst possible player at this point that they could lose?
Bobby Hill, probably. Yes. Well, Nick Dacos.
he'd be much worse.
Yeah.
But like they can't afford to lose him. I feel if they had to make like a significant push in 2026, they're not going to be able to.
Yeah, that's
afford to
true.
lose a
That's
player like
true.
this.
I mean, with one of the more punishing players in that team,
Yeah.
Dacos is punishing, Jordan De Goey is punishing. They've also lost Myercheck, who was a prolific goal scorer.
Yeah, he was always right up there in their goal kicking for
Yeah.
sure. And De Goey obviously is that punishing player, but often isn't fit right. Apparently he's having a really good preseason.
Yeah, I think Bobby Hill it would be one of the harder to replace players in that team. Not the most, but in terms of his skill set and what he brings in that match-breaking ability,
Yeah.
yes, I think the best version of Collingwood has Bobby Hill in it, and there's a gap without him.
Yeah.
That being said, I mean, how much footy did he miss last year? I'm a little patchy on that, but it was
Quite
significant.
a lot. Yeah, and they still made a prelim.
They did, and they were, one of the best turnover teams in the comp, and still punishing in their own way, even if they didn't win big. So, that being said, yeah, if the question is, can they go all the way without him? It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Those types of players are valuable.
Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, both coming down with preseason injuries. Kind of depends, just I guess, with their age, how long that kind of stuff lasts. Should we kick in to some segment time? I feel like we've dusted a bit off.
I have also done so well not to go to the bathroom yet, and I think I'm going to go now.
You going to go?
Yeah,
All right, I'll go to the comments.
Yeah, cool.
Have a little bit of a read. Where am I
I
going
also think we should announce the partnership next, and then do our segments.
Good. I'm going to go through some comments here. Shadow Light says, what happens with Neil? The Lions still have Will Ashcroft. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is with the Brisbane midfield, right? You've got Hugh McCluggage there. You've got Josh Dunkley there. You've got Will Ashcroft already. So like they could just bring more guys in. I mean, you could play Cam Rayner in the midfield more. You could play Zach Bailey in the midfield more. So they kind of just don't run out of amazing players. Even Jasper Fletcher, Levi Ashcroft's coming into that team as well. There's so many levers that they could pull. Losing Lachie Neale for them at this point, I think with the stuff going on, could actually be a blessing. Although even saying that Lions team they have some sort of drama before and been able to bounce back from it. Rogue Riot, good to see you, mate. Once more, I can't read that now. It's gone down. I've lost it. Thomas Payet says Dan Annable is going to be great. He's another one. I didn't even mention him, did I? I feel Dan Annable will actually. He's good enough, but he will struggle to get into this team given that slew of midfielders that they have. There's just so many, and he's a gun. He's an absolute dominant inside midfielder. But can he play in another position? Levi Ashcroft probably proved me wrong last year. I thought he was a little bit one-dimensional as a midfielder. He was able to play that high half-forward role really, really well. So that's Dan. How's everybody on? I'm just trying to read through some of these comments. Dacos to Tasmania, says Joe Haller. I doubt it. I mean, I think Nick Dacos is probably going to stay at Collingwood for his entire career. I think, no doubt, the Tasmania situation, the money will be used as leverage by a lot of players to be able to get better deals, and I think that's what he will do. Dersma Rising Star, I think he'll be up there. I think maybe there's a few more players that are a little bit more sort of ready-made in their position. I think Dyson Sharp could be right up there. Jacob Farrow, I've heard a lot of good things about his preseason from Essendon fans. I think he'll play a lot of football early. Lockie Doveston, I think, is one that could be pushing for a rising star. He's going to get straight into that North team as a high forward. So always difficult for high forwards. So I'd put probably someone like a Dyson Sharp ahead. Have you heard much about Dersma as a possible rising star? Any training reports?
I'm sorry. I just want to say that was the first bathroom break of the year. Went terribly.
Oh, okay.
I was advised right before we started that wall was slightly still wet. I fell into it. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then I ran across the camera. We'll need to. I'll have to rework
you said it
that.
went terribly, I thought you meant like inside.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Inside the bathroom.
That was smooth sailing. Willem Dersma. Oh yeah. Look, you can hear like it's a smooth preseason in terms of no injury setbacks, impressing at training. He's a flashy player, kicking goals from 50 on the run. You read those things, you get excited, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily more or less likely to win the Rising Star or go close. I think I sort of sheepishly predicted he'd win the Rising Star in our late season prediction video.
Oh, he'll be up there.
I think so. It comes down to role, and it sounds like he'll be playing on the wing, which is a tough role to find the footy. So if he spends a little bit of time, behind the footy where he's probably going to get a few intercepts, he is that sort of player. then it becomes a bit more likely. But
Yes.
I can see the arguments why he's not necessarily a top 3 contender, but he'd be around the mark.
Do you know who the top 3 contenders are off the top of your head right now? I haven't actually seen that. I'd imagine Dyson Sharp would be in the mix.
I think Jagger would be
Jagger,
the top 2.
Jagger. I forgot about him. Different age group. But
Shit, I couldn't tell you who the third one is off the top of my head. I reckon Dersmo by default would be high in the odds.
yeah,
I think
for
that would
sure.
make
Just
sense.
on pick one.
Zeke Hewland, I think, is one that makes perfect sense for him to get a lot of opportunity. To get a good crack at it, provided he gets a role that allows him to fund the footy. I don't think that will be a problem of his personally, but we know he's coming into a stronger team. So do they use him as an outlet player and he finds a lot of the footy, uses it well? I think that is the ingredient for him playing well, and he's relatively ready-made in terms of developing into the player that he will become. There's not a huge development arc compared to, say, a Cooper Duff-Tyler or even... even a Jacob Farrow, maybe. Oh, maybe there's better examples. But you get my point. I think he could play well from day dot. It just comes down to role.
Agree with all of those things. So, Jesse, you have some news for us.
Yes. Some of the positive stuff that has come from this offseason, there has been a lot of work, particularly recently, and there is more to come. But one thing we can share with you today is that we have partnered up with Game Day Squad for season 2026. Now, True Footy has been in partnership with Game Day Squad in the past, and we are resuming that partnership. The platform has evolved greatly over the last few years, and it's a relatively new product. Not sure how many years, 4 years maybe. And for those unaware, it is a fantasy platform that is quite distinctly different from the ones you would normally typically play, like Supercoach and AFL Fantasy, which are very popular. And Game Day Squad is more geared around unpacking like footy cards and building a team that way. Yep. So for now, I know that the season, there's going to be a season refresh on Monday. So the game is still accessible, but things will be updated on Monday. For now, if anyone wants to make an account, we are going to make a True Footy competition. The game is completely free to play. If you use the code True26, that actually gets you some free packs as well, and you'll be able to open players, and in time we'll be able to explain maybe more detail around how to play and there's rules. Like, one thing I particularly like about the game, in addition to the fun way of unpacking players and opening up a Sam Darcy or a Nick Dacos, but one element that makes it a little bit different is you get a few more points for goals than you do on other platforms. So, for instance, a goal-scoring key forward like a Jeremy Cameron would be a very valuable commodity. Now, he's a decently valuable commodity in fantasy because he actually racks up a lot of the footy, but he kicks a lot of goals, and that I think makes it a little bit more.
One thing that I always get annoyed playing AFL fantasy, I mean, I love fantasy sports in general, so I'm into it, but you always get that group of forwards ends up just being the guys that play in the midfield.
Yeah, totally.
So having that extra, basically for putting it on the scoreboard, right? So a Cameron, a Darcy becomes more valuable, and it gives more different types of players, because in regular fantasy, it's always the mids playing inside or across halfback. I feel like that's the only two options of position that you pick, and you just get that variety, which makes it more exciting for me.
Totally. Again, I'll probably resist going through the depth of the game for now as well. That league code that you see there, if you go to a private league and try and join a league, that code, which we'll leave in the description if it's not there already, that will actually get you into the league, and that's all you need to do for now. But what makes it extra fun, I think all the players that are, there's different like types of cards, right? So you get bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and maybe one other that I'm forgetting. All bronze players are valued the same as far as salary goes. So a bronze Nick Dacos is the same worth as a bronze Dyson Sharp, and Dyson Sharp's a rookie, right? But what happens is if you get a silver Nick Dacos, it's a multiplier of 1.1 on his score. And I think gold is like 1.3 and platinum's like 1.5. Don't quote me on the exact numbers there, but that's generally how it works.
Yes.
And the salary cap is tied to how many gold players you have in your team and how many silver players, and they all have different salaries.
It's like in local football where you have points based on having ex-AFL players, and you can't go over a certain amount of points across your team, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, we'll set up a league and we'll keep that going through. So for now, if you want to set up your team, you can do that. You can use that code to get, it's completely free to play. There are some in-game purchases like anything, but like the game that we'll be playing, it's free. So use that code to get some free packs or extra free packs, and it's good fun. I think you get free packs like every week.
Yeah,
I think that's how the game works.
As a self-confessed millennial, I had a lot of difficulty working out the card situation. I'm like, so do the cards come in the mail? They're online. Yeah. That's fine. When you sign up, that all just gets sorted out for you.
Such a boomer. So, yes, I have worked with Game Day Squad before, and it is a great product. And it's also worth noting that it is a dynasty league. So if you don't know what that means, is your team does not get wiped every season. You keep the players going into the next season. It also means that if you unpack Jagger Smith, let's not say Jagger Smith. Let's say who's a random player that was drafted late in the draft?
Max Contagianis.
Yeah, was he drafted? Yeah, he was drafted, wasn't he? Where'd he go?
Yeah, Essendon.
Essendon, yeah, that's right.
30s?
Yeah. So let's say that Contagianis right now might not seem like the most valuable card because he's a rookie. But in 6 years, you may still have that card if you don't get rid of it.
Yeah, and he's the next
position. He could be Josh Weddle.
Yeah, that's actually I was going to say Bontempelli.
Oh, yeah.
I think Weddle's probably even better there.
Yeah. So, for instance, I've played this game before. I had Sam Darcy a number of years ago. It was not valuable at all. And I went back into my team and I found Sam Darcy and he kicks goals. So
I remember too you messaging last year and being like, this Sam Darcy guy.
Yeah.
He's really come on. We just got a super chat there from Onay Pulse. 6346, $5. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. What's the take on how the Saints go this year?
I think it's meant to be on impulse.
You know I'm bad at that. I can't read.
On impulse.
I can't read. I cannot. On. What is it? On.
It's meant to be on an impulse, I think, but it's on an impulse. But you read it as on a impulse.
Oh, what an idiot.
I'm sorry. It's very funny.
So, Saints.
Thank you so much for that, by the way. We didn't mean to mock your name. I was mocking Dylan. What is the take on how they go? I think that, preparing for this season, I did create a little doc just as a little bit of homework. And what was good about St Kilda last year? So they won 4 of their last 5, which to me, I must admit, I remember them being close wins over North, Richmond, and maybe Essendon. Oh, and Melbourne.
I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head.
Because they beat Melbourne. Anyway, my point was that 4 of the last 5, that sounds better than it probably was on performance. But one thing that they did improve on was their punish. Let me find exactly where I got this.
Stats, man.
Yeah.
Stats, man. I mean, I put together a best 23 for them the other week, and it looks really, really strong on paper. I'll let you take your thoughts first.
That's cool. So it says I got this from like Fox Footy. For all the criticism of Ross Lyon's game plan, the Saints after the bye ranked number 4 in the AFL for intercept to score and number 1 in halfback to score, which reflects a style in line with the modern game. So those numbers are pretty strong. That's after the bye. That's not the last 5 weeks against easy opposition. That being said, I still think the whole feel of the way they played last year was probably less than what I would have expected of St Kilda. On the other hand, I think it's very easy to make the case that they have a list that is ready to go or ready to jump up.
Yeah.
Maybe not contend. Their inclusions are one thing. The depth of talent they've recruited over the last 4 years from 2021 to 2025 is also quite compelling.
That's the big compelling part for me.
Yes.
So it's looking at players like Matthias Philippou, like Darcy Wilson, Hugo Garcia. You could probably argue that a Marcus Windhager already had that jump. Like he had a really good season last year.
Yes.
But I think he probably could go to another level. I think the guys that came in the off-season, as long as they can hit the ground running, we know that they're already quality players. Flanders is going to be a great addition to that midfield. TDK is TDK, so he's going to be awesome. It's really what they can get from those younger players who have shown talent, but we don't know yet.
Yeah.
We don't know that they can be top level AFL players. So if say they got a bump out of, say Wilson or Philippou go to an A grade level, that's starting to look like a really, really star-studded team.
Totally agree. And Darcy Wilson looks jacked.
He does.
I did not think that a kid of his frame had the genetic potential to be that big. I know it's a weird thing to say, but
he came in quite lanky, like more of a running type.
Yeah. No, he is looking boxy. But yeah, I agree with your point. I think, the Philippou, Wilson, Ataru.
He's looking boxual.
Oh.
Yeah, that was
we
not
are
good,
so
actually.
back.
Oh.
Taru and Travalia, these guys. Did they take him? Oh, Charlie Banfield.
Charlie Bamford. Yeah, they didn't come into the draft until super
That's
late.
right, yeah, because they traded for Flanders.
Travalia and Tyroo, I mean, you'd think maybe for them there's a little bit more growth to be had before they start becoming seriously important from an on-field perspective, but I'm sure they're going to be back there to try to get games into them, to fast-track them.
Yeah, totally. I just want to clarify, there's a few people obviously coming into the stream late.
Yes.
And seeking clarification on something we spent an hour or half an hour talking about.
Yep.
If anyone wants us to talk about the issue that they're here to see, please just go back to the start of this stream. We're not going to repeat it. It's all out there. We've said everything we want to say. And just go and watch it before you have a crack. Reef Luke.
Oh, wow.
Good to have you. Thank you so much for that generous donation, Reef. He says, glad to have you back, boys. Sorry, it sounds like it's been a hell of a week. Love the new setup. Thank you. Are the Monday shows still going to be at 11? CDT looks like he's having some preseason. Could we see more of him than expected? Thank you for the kind words. And are the Monday shows still going to be at 11? I suppose we hadn't locked that in, but I think ballpark probably that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that probably does make sense.
Yep.
So yeah, as a placeholder, but I suppose we'll review that closer to the season. CDT does sound like he's pressing at West Coast. Again, temporary expectations with a taller player. But he does have the ground level game to be impressive. And I think it does sound like he has nudged his way into contention for round one.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'm hearing out of West Coast is how impressed they are with his kicking. And when you get a player like that has the ground level skills like that, it pretty much means that he can play anywhere.
Yeah.
You could play a Cooper Duff-Tyler on the wing. So I think there's a chance. I think maybe they will be a bit more than anything, they'll actually be a bit more hesitant to expose him for the expectation factor.
Yeah.
And maybe they just want to give him some more football first.
Yeah.
And then he can come in and develop a little bit more. That would be my only point.
Yeah, we'll see. We got to, West Coast have a few second ruck options like Jack Williams and Archer Reed, who are also at the point where, we'll give them some games. So it's not like a gaping hole in that team for him to go into. But as you said, he's got a few different tricks to those boys. So
absolutely.
We'll see. And Slick Shoes, thank you so much as well. I don't know if there's meant to be a comment attached to that, but I really appreciate the support. It's so good to be back.
Oh, it's Scoot from the Lunchtime Catch-Up podcast. Thank you so much, mate. Great podcast.
Really appreciate you.
The Lunchtime Catch-Up, Essendon podcast. One of the greats.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. We've got a lot of people appearing in the chat that have obviously missed the beginning. Jesse just mentioned it before. Just go back and if you want to hear the response about everything that happened in the week, just go back to the start of the video. It was very well covered and we certainly don't want to cover it again. Should we crack in here to 2026 breakout players?
We can do this, yes.
Do you want to start here?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. How did you do it? Because I went alphabetically, I think.
I went alphabetically too.
Perfect.
Teams-wise, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, not players. That would be too difficult.
That would be weird.
I think we go through each club and we just sort of come up with who we think might be a player to take their game to the next level. Now, this is a broad topic.
Explode.
Breakout play. Yes. Whatever makes the catchiest title. But, I think breakout can mean a lot of different things. Like players can break out in their first season in a sense. So I actually put a little caveat in here. I didn't include any first-year players. Yeah, I agree that a breakout player should be considered someone who has flirted with the level for a while and is about to take that game to the next level. But I think we just go through each team and discuss which of their players could take a jump.
I actually thought we could also finalise it just for a little bit of an ending where you could sort of say, that's the top guy that I think is going to take his game to the next level.
Agreed.
So Adelaide, the first player that came to my head when doing this was Dan Curtin.
Mm-hmm.
Before that injury, which is going to set him back a little bit, he just looked absolutely menacing. He's stepping into the midfield. He's pushing guys away. He's exploding from stoppage. Everything that... The perfect scenario that Adelaide would have expected when drafting a 197 centimetre utility like that was coming true. He does the knee. Does that rule him out of this conversation?
No, I don't think so, but it does make things harder when... so he's done the knee, which I think at this stage is projected to be...
It's not an ACL, sorry.
Yeah, no. It's projected to be about round 7 or 8. Obviously, this far, it's hard to be specific, but it will hamper his ability to cover the ground.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The preparation part.
And therefore, it might impact his role. Like, if he misses a chunk of the preseason, does he play full-time wing when he gets back? Maybe he plays more as a forward, and we know he can play back. So that will be an interesting one. I think the breakout is coming, but I think it does make it tough for this year.
It does.
Personally.
It does. So I don't think he's the front runner. The next one for me, It was a player that's kind of been in the shed for a little while here in Sid Draper. He didn't get a lot of exposure. It's actually funny because when you go to his games, he played a lot of games last year, but he was most often the sub and had very, very minimal exposure. I actually thought of that 2024 draft crop. When he got on the ball, Sid Draper, he actually showed a lot of his exciting traits while he was actually out on field. And I was surprised that they didn't play him more. This is a big year for him.
Yeah, totally. Was one of my favourite players in that draft. He was probably the player I was hoping West Coast would take prior to that famous trade down. And I think the upside is there. And for whatever reason, didn't break regularly into the Adelaide Crows team, who probably do need that dynamic kind of midfielder in addition to what they already have. So I would love to see the headline in the Advertiser this year of Curtin and Drapes. And that's about as far as the joke got. I didn't think of the rest of the headline, but there's a pun there.
Could Sid Draper be that missing piece midfielder that everyone sort of called for at the end of last year and seemed to be placed upon Adelaide as the reason why they went out in straight sets in a way? That was it was like they're lacking a midfielder. Rory Laird actually did go into the midfield late, which was a bit of a weird lever to pull, I thought, from Matthew Nicks to kind of go back down that road, and kind of does show that they lack something in there. A breakout from a Sid Draper, I think, would potentially elevate them a little bit more.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that is a big individual variable.
Yep.
I'm going to throw a player out here that does not come to mind maybe for this conversation. I think Josh Rochelle could be the player that most improves on their season in 2026.
He was my next one.
Yeah, I think as well, like for him, we know he's a really good player already in terms of his talent and his ability to find the goals and win games. He's done that. It's just about whether he can become a more midfield-centric player and then also hit the scoreboard. I think he has
training
that.
there.
I saw that in the match. The kicker bag of four.
He was stepping around people and doing this and that, dancing feet.
As an aside, I know this doesn't apply to Adelaide, but I hear about players in the Eagles match sim tearing it up, and I'm like, playing against West Coast B-side. So I don't know what to make of that, but I think there is an argument there that Josh Rochelle, given that Curtin will miss a good chunk of footy and might affect his role, I say watch out for Josh Rochelle.
Josh Rochelle, I like it. I've got him down as well. I had one more for the Crows, and it's a really, really speculative one. It's more of the, I guess, players that have had exposure, but we haven't seen enough really to make a call. I've gone with Luke Nankervis.
Yes. What? Remind me, is he a forward?
No. He's more of a hybrid defender.
Like a third tall.
A third tall, but I would probably say that he's more of like an on-the-ball guy, like a bit of a guy that can run the ball out of defence. Okay. He's quite athletic, quite tall, like a B-grade Josh Weddle type of player, that sort of thing. So I think that is definitely a position where they needed a bit more athleticism coming into the season to be able to have that drive, because I do think they're another team that at times has been that really long direct kicking team, like I said about Carlton, where they've got Thilthorpe, Fogarty and Walker, so it's natural that they want to kick the ball long to those guys. Having more avenues to their game and having players that can kind of do different things, change angles and stuff like that will be big. So I think he's one that I'm watching, and I've been impressed with his kind of development coming into the AFL. He's not a highly touted player, so he was just a bit of a different one for me that I think can contribute. Who are we going here as the top breakout contender of these guys? I want to say Josh Rochelle.
I was going to say Rochelle too. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's go with it.
So we'll agree with that. Brizzy.
A team that is at the top of the mountain. Yes, that works. And still has boasts some of the best talent in the competition. Interesting one. I feel like there's players that come to mind for me that have either arguably already broken out. But
I've written down, I originally wrote down 15 players.
Yeah. And then there's a few that, maybe may or may not. So we can go through them individually. We know that they have two Ashcrofts. We know that they have a Jasper Fletcher, who I would argue probably broke out last year.
Yeah.
Ty Gallup had played a number of games and impressed. Sam Marshall, premiership player already. Logan Morris, second season, 50+ goals, wasn't it? There's a few players there that have either already played to such a high standard or...
I had this exact same conundrum because I'm looking at a Will Ashcroft and I'm I don't think he's got in season across a whole body of work. I don't think he's gone to that top midfield level, but he's got 2 Norm Smith medals.
I know. Yeah.
How do you say that a player hasn't broken out when they've already done that?
Yeah, I agree. It's an awkward one. I do wonder, a genuine question, is Ashcroft going to be the sort of guy who will play a full season and perform consistently every week and win Brownlows? Or is he going to be that guy that come finals time, like the Hawthorn team of old, where you're like, oh shit, this guy's so good, isn't he?
Do you know what's weird about him? Like I would generally look at a player like Ashcroft and say that he was the former. He's more of that season to season guy. Like he looks like the consistent performer that you would just bank. He'd be up there in Brownlows and best and fairest every season, but he's turned himself into this box office finals player, which is kind of a testament to him. Like you want to be playing your best football then.
Totally. I mean, yeah, I think it would have been fair to describe him as a little bit vanilla as a draft prospect and early season or like, early performances. But I don't think you can really level that at him. And it's the same thing with Levi, like those goals on grand final day, those big moments that you don't really consider that often when looking at draftees. Like sometimes they'll get an opportunity where they kick a goal in a grand final and you're like, that guy's clutch.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? But it's something you don't know until it's here.
It's the mentality piece. And you want to associate that, I feel, or maybe this is something that I do, but like you associate that with that sort of game breaking, like Bailey or DeGoey type.
Yes.
That's going to break through and kind of be too difficult to deal with, but they just do it in a different way and they've got that mentality. We do have a super chat from Sataram AFL. Love your work, mate. Has a YouTube channel. Go and check him out. A lot of database stuff and doing some really great best 23s at the moment. Thank you so much for the $20. He says, sending support, fellas. Grab yourselves a coffee each. And you missed this one too, Dill. You're doing fine without, I won't read the rest out there, but bring on the start of the season. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
And I can see some people on the Brisbane conversation here saying it has to be Fletcher. He is right up there for me, and he's written down on my piece of paper. You do have him.
Oh, I mean, I acknowledged him.
You think he's too good already?
Well, yeah. I mean, does he have the same jump this year? We're talking about 26 specifically.
It does. I think the question there is, he played it like he had a really, really elite season as a halfback flanker. Does he just step into the midfield and become a genuine jet? The issue there, again, it's like balance because they've got Levi Ashcroft coming into the team. They've got Dan Annable coming into the team. They can't play halfback, for example. So are they just going to get the midfield time because Fletcher's already doing really well back there?
Does Annable play round one? I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody asked that in the comments before when you're in the bathroom having your tinkle break. And
exposed.
It's weird though, because I said the same thing about Levi Ashcroft last year. I said, how does Levi Ashcroft as a genuine inside mid get into the best team in the competition? And he found a way. He adjusted and adapted. So maybe Dan Annable can do the same. And I think he's a really smart footballer, but they don't have that elite speed to play like a high half forward role necessarily. Although Ashcroft did that. He kind of rotated between wing and forward, got some CBAs late. I've got another one though. I've got Kitty Coleman. The forgotten man.
Yeah, true. I suppose you could consider him because, and I could be wrong, but the way I remember it, probably didn't have like that full season of announcing himself. He just played some really good footy, but I feel like there's been at least one ACL. Has there been multiple ACLs with Kitty Coleman? I feel like he's been injury
No, I think you're right. I think he was coming back from the first one.
Yeah, because he did it in like the opening round game against Carlton. I reckon that was 2 years ago, and now he's coming off another one.
Yep, that was the kicking across body, kind of like body into the leg one. I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
So I didn't consider him as eligible by this loose criteria, but I think
because he was already too good.
Yeah, but maybe like we're being inconsistent if we say it about
Fletcher.
Fletcher.
He fits that category again though, where like has he actually ever had like a full consistent season of a body of work? Probably not.
Yeah.
He's another finals player.
Yeah,
he had a really good preliminary final and grand final in the Collingwood loss, right?
Yes, that's right. Of course.
Yeah, so he hasn't experienced any of that nourishment of winning premierships of the other guys.
That's true.
So he's going to be hungry.
Yeah, true. Yeah. No, I like that one. I didn't consider him, but I'll throw that in there. We have another super chat. Thank you so much, Benjamin. Grab a pastry with your coffee, boys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys being here and also supporting us.
Genuinely too. Like it's so nice to hear that. We're obviously getting some bit of negative stuff in between that's kind of hard to ignore as you're going through this stuff, but like really appreciate the support. Yeah. As I said, if anybody wants to watch the sort of our feelings on the whole matter, just go back to the start of the video and we have another super chat. Thank you so much. This is from
I'll do it.
Why do I always get the hard names?
Orc Enthusiast.
Yeah,
I recently watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Not the time for it. Thank you so much. Good to have you guys back. Don't want to get Jesse monologuing too much. Hey, but what is a realistic pass mark for the Eagles and Demons for you guys this year? We'll keep it short and sharp and we'll get back to the content, but I will answer the question, obviously. Pass mark. I reckon like 5 wins. I reckon that would
For the
be
Eagles.
nourishing enough. Sorry, yes, West Coast specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it doesn't sound that great,
No,
Like- but at the same time, what can you expect?
I think it really will. Like 3 wins, 6 wins, it will be largely dictated by who's playing well and
I was
where the
going to
growth
say
is
that,
coming from.
and it's a boring answer, but it comes back to it's the how you play piece, right?
Yeah.
So if you get 3 wins, but you have another 7 games that are inside a goal or 2, and it's really competitive, and you have a chance to win it, and maybe because you're a young side, you just fall over. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm trying to imagine a scenario where we win 6 or 7 games and we're unhappy. I don't know if that would be the case. We've been so starved for wins, but I would agree with that assessment. What about Melbourne? It's a little bit difficult. They've had a big transition of the list with some key players leaving. I personally predicted the bottom 2 finish.
Yep.
And at this stage, I'm not really deviating from that. I think they're in a similar position where it's like they'll be interested to see how the team dynamic works and also how the young players develop.
Yeah.
I think they'll just be hoping to avoid the spoon, in my opinion.
You think that'd be that bad?
I do.
Yeah, that's quite significant. I haven't put together a ladder predictor yet, so it's difficult to see exactly where I see them. I don't think their list is that bad for like really struggling to avoid the spoon. I think they're similar to Carlton in the sense of what we said before, where they've done some really good off-season moves to get the list ticking along, but it doesn't necessarily help them now.
Yeah.
So what are they doing with that midfield at the moment? You're going to have
Viney's in there.
Viney,
Langford.
Jack Steele.
Jack Steele. Wow, there's not a lot of pace there.
Not a lot of pace there. That's where you bring in someone like a Rivers.
Yeah.
In my best
Cozzy.
23 for them, Cozzy's going to inject a lot of pace. I think Windsor probably needs to step into the midfield. So it's going to be about that tier of draftees that they've bought through and how much they improve. Harvey Langford will be in there as well, of course.
Yeah.
And then you've got your Xavier Lindsay's. They bring in Xavier Taylor and Pickett. I actually have seen some training footage of Latrell and Cozzy going at it, which looks super, super exciting. So
That's
their forward line, I think, will be a lot more dangerous. And I think they'll have a lot... I agree in the sense that I reckon they'll have a lot more high-scoring games than what they had under Goodwin. They'll be less defensive, more offensive, but they'll probably get scored against pretty heavily at the beginning as they adjust to like a new coach's game style.
That's true.
And stuff like that, and a young team. So you're saying second last, avoiding the spoon. I'd say bottom 4 or thereabouts, like on that sort of bottom 4 to 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. I mean, that's kind of where they were this year. Oh, the last 2 years. I think they finished 5th last, fifth last the last 2 years, I think.
It's funny because if they finish 5th last again, it'll be a completely different 5th last.
I would agree.
The way that the team is in direction. In motion.
Totally. And I do like where they're at from a list point
So
of view.
do I.
So that's not a real shot.
Uh,
Kate Bullen.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Is that a Canadian?
It is.
A Canadian donation.
Kabucks. That's not what they're called. I'll join the train. Does George Wardlaw stay healthy this year? I'll leave that one to you.
Jeez, need a crystal ball for that one. I bloody hope so. I think he is so important to what North Melbourne are trying to build in that midfield, because I think we actually do, with the more of those kind of Sheasel types, and even Powell to an extent is sort of pretty just a balanced midfielder, but he's not overly quick. So we need that injection, like that explosiveness that Wardlaw brings, and I think he brings that real attack on the ball, like a Matty Rowell style that the Gold Coast have, where he brings an energy and he brings an energy up in the overall team. It's important, but I can't answer that question. Like, do I think he's going to get injured?
Yeah.
Fucking hope.
But
not.
he's very important.
So important.
Yeah.
I think he's actually, in a way, like for that midfield group, like the missing piece at the moment.
Yeah. I like it. Should we move on to Carlton?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I thought it was another super chat.
Okay.
We cleared those.
That's right. So with Carlton, I wonder if there's one player that comes to mind, but he hasn't played a game yet. And I think there is a level of expectation about what Jagger Smith is going to be able to do in his first season, given how easily he stepped up to VFL level and the way he plays in terms of he sort of is a first possession player. He's sort of nippy around stoppages, but at the same time doesn't need a big frame to be able to do that at AFL level. And he's also had a year of presumably putting on weight.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think Jagger Smith could kind of be considered the breakout player, even though he hasn't played a game. Again, we're blurring the lines of what's eligibility here, but
he's top of my list.
Yeah, I think he's the one.
No, I think you're spot on about the way that he plays as well. he's never had a problem with bigger bodies because he just uses his footy smarts.
That's right.
He just gets into the right position, pounces on that loose ball. It's funny, when they drafted him, I was a bit critical of it because I saw the team where they were headed was trying to push up the ladder to play for finals. And I thought, he's not really the piece that they need for this team, but he probably now is the piece that they need for this next team.
True.
And maybe they were one step ahead of that than I was at the time. But yeah, they've obviously had a lot of changes to their list. As I said, I think the biggest shift for them overall, and I know we're talking about breakout players, it'll be that almost like the way they move the ball, and it'll be like deprogramming the players in their team to play a different way will be the biggest challenge that Michael Voss has. I have on my list outside of Jagger Smith, who I think is really the runaway leader here. Harry O'Farrell's got the knee injury. Could you consider someone like a Campbell Chesser a breakout contender for Carlton?
I do. I think it's important to clarify that I think that would be in the shape of becoming a quality role player and not becoming a breakout AFL midfielder.
Hey, you said last year.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I do think so, yes. I do think he has the capacity to be someone that can impress people because there are no expectations on him. So yeah, I think from this context,
you've really built him up.
Yeah, now he has to succeed. He's left my club. It just showed complete disloyalty, and I'm like, no, he needs to come good now. I do think so, though. I do think so. I think he finished the season strongly, and we're not talking about a player being in an all-Australian squad, but for a player to help Carlton play a different way, I think there's potential there. What about like an Ollie Hollands?
Ooh, okay. I didn't actually have an Ollie Hollands down. Fair play. I thought how he was used last year wasn't really best suited to him. I actually think he's one of those players that prefers to be on a wing as opposed to that halfback role where he's kind of just a little bit more on the outside and he's kicking. I think he's kicking struggles coming out of halfback, and I think this is the thing in the AFL where there's certain players that they can kick inside 50 and they're good entry players, but when they're coming out of defence, they're not as good as picking through that zone.
Yeah.
And I think he fits into that. So I would want to see him used on a wing. I don't know though. I don't know if he can have that final jump. I think he's already got himself to like a good level AFL player.
Yeah.
But is there anything left in the tank? What could you see him doing?
Probably just becoming more high volume as a genuine two-way wingman. But you're right. I think he has the potential to be a very good player.
Yeah.
To be honest, I do think that. Not an elite, outstanding game-breaking player.
Which role are you
I think
Ollie Hollands wing or halfback?
Wing. Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's as damaging by foot as, like you just said, to be that halfback. I think to be that distributor type who's not an actual defender.
Yes.
You've got to be able to pierce the field. Pierce the field. I don't know. I'm rusty.
No, that's great.
But I think we're on the same page there. But he does have the well-rounded game to be a very high-quality wingman, I think.
I agree.
But whether it's a breakout year, I don't think he comes ahead of Jagger Smith.
No, you definitely couldn't put him ahead of Jagger. A few other just to throw up. Billy Wilson training at halfback, and they probably need somebody in that role, particularly if they want to move away from like an Adam Sard or something like that. He's been noted at training to be doing quite well in that role as a kicker, so could be kind of just a random one out of nowhere that really pops up and comes through. And I wrote, this one's a bit rogue for the topic, but Ben Ainsworth, who is clearly already kind of fulfilled as a player, but could an elevated role in a Carlton team compared to a Gold Coast team take his game to another level where he comes and plays a bit more midfield? He wasn't getting that at Gold Coast. He was more of a genuine forward.
I kind of like him as that high half forward.
Not someone that pinch hits in the midfield for a bit of explosiveness?
Maybe, yes. Yeah, I just didn't think of him as a genuine full-time stoppage player. I kind of like him in that role.
I 100% agree, but I'm thinking with Cripps, Hewitt, Jagger and Chera, do you have much dynamic in there?
No, not much dynamic at all.
No. I need a little Ainsworth in there. So maybe that can take his game to the next level if he can still be that goal-scoring threat when he's forward and then come in and be explosive at midfield. I think that will be really good. But yeah, it's clearly Jagger Smith as the front runner. Pies.
Tough.
Real tough.
Because they just haven't accumulated a lot of young talent over the last few years.
No.
I wrote down Ed Allen, relatively high draft pick from a few years ago. If we're talking,
not overly inspiring though, is it?
No, I wouldn't expect a huge breakout season from him. I'm waiting for Rogue Riot in the comments. I think Charlie West is a player that he'd throw up as well. because he's mentioned it in the stream about 5 times.
Yeah.
Charlie West.
He's top of my list, yeah.
What about someone like Jack Buller?
Okay, yeah, from Sydney.
Yeah, considering the opportunity he'll get in that
Because
role.
of my check.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just recruited from Sydney. And would constitute a breakout player. It's not as though he's established.
I can't say the games that I watched of him, and I can't say it's a heap of footy that I've seen of him play, but I wasn't like overly impressed with him as a physical presence of a forward.
Yeah.
Whether Collingwood system, I know they're going to be more built around those smaller types, like Elliott will probably win their goal kicking, as opposed to a big key position forward. So whether that's a factor, again, it's like how big is a breakout for someone like a Jack Buller, realistically?
30 goals? Could he kick 30 goals?
Yeah, that'd be okay.
I suppose it depends on what's happening up the field.
Yeah.
And you'd probably say it's a breakout season.
Yeah, you would. You would, and particularly if it improves the way that they play.
Yeah.
You could say that. But yeah, it could be more of a role compliant thing than anything else. The others that I wrote down Will Hayes.
Oh, yeah.
Who's I think he's a talented winger that they picked up from Western Australia. So I think he could get games, particularly if they keep having these injuries and stuff like that. But I honestly don't think they have a standout breakout player that goes to the top level or anything like that. They're just not a team for it at the moment.
A couple other players like Dematia and Tojiath were a couple of relatively, for Collingwood, like top 30 picks are relatively early. So,
unexposed, right? I mean, if they're going to get growth from anywhere, it's more likely to be like, does Dan Houston play better this season?
Yeah, Perryman as well, who was a... somebody just mentioned Reef McInnes had his season shut down. That's actually not a bad shout.
That is not a bad shout. Where is he though? Like as in coming, is he going to...
I actually have a note for this. Dude. I think he could play round 1.
Because sometimes those knees can linger. A few people, I saw Sam Walsh for the Carlton one as well, and I'm going off topic there, but it's probably not a bad shout, given he's one of those players that's down on form you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I actually like that call.
So who are we going for Collingwood?
Ed Allen. I think he's the highest rated out of the players.
I'd probably lean Charlie West. But then,
true.
You're not even guaranteed that he's going to play.
Yeah.
If a Buller is ahead of him, for example. I don't know. The only other one that I do have written down is could Ned Long just turn into Patrick Cripps?
Maybe. You know what, though? I'm compelled a little bit by the Reef McInnes thing. So I think he is a chance to play round 1. It's the latest update that I have. Playing a bit more as a defender because he's played a variety of roles, hasn't he? He was playing forward in the VFL for a while.
He was drafted as
it's like a mid-forward?
Yeah.
Whereas I think he was playing defence.
No, he definitely was.
Yeah,
he started last season. I can't remember the exact round that the injury was, but he was injured as a defender. He was playing the Murphy role, that sort of third tall that facilitates for Darcy Moore to come across. So he would be important and definitely was the one that he would have been tracking for that last year. Josh Dacos mentioned there as well as from a positional switch point of view. Does he come in and play more midfield and energise that would be another one. I don't think you could call that a breakout when he's already an All-Australian.
Yeah, agreed. I did totally get the change of role, but he's also like 27.
And kind of already brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, being 27 doesn't mean you can't break out, but yeah.
Jack Sinclair did.
Yeah, fair.
Yep.
Yeah, Jake Waterman probably did something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how old he was at the time. Maybe
I actually think Jack Sinclair was actually 27. Specifically.
I think Jake would have been 24, maybe 25. I can't remember.
Love that. I'll have a late breakout. Essendon.
A few more to pick from because of the young talent they have on the list. There's a lot of them. They've recruited heavily over the last few years and seen a massive transition in their list. They are now the second youngest and second least experienced team. The only team below that is West Coast for both.
Can we go 3, 2, 1 and say who we're both thinking at the top of this list?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Max Contagianis. I just did that to be an idiot. It has nothing to do with Max as a player. Nate Caddy was absolutely the player that I think is the most
top
obvious.
of your list?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it's realistic that he could have a really strong season.
I think their best 2 young players this season will be Nate Caddy. Mm-hmm. He's going to go superstar level. And he's not in this list for me because he's a first-year player, but I think Jacob Farrow is going to turn some heads.
Yeah, I like that. If he plays off halfback, yes.
Steps in, plays a little bit of midfield, shows the movement.
Yeah,
he's looked really, really, really good.
I like that call. I didn't write any first-year players down. I suppose Dyson Sharp would also be a factor.
Definitely. I think he'll be like that really consistent performer, but I think Farrow's the guy that can, over time, elevate this squad.
Yeah.
And he's been a bit of a surprise packet. I did want to talk about Sardis.
Yeah, I've got him as a discussion point.
Ooh, what do you have to say about him?
I think that we are talking about a player who is a very high draft pick, who has had to play his trade in the VFL a lot. Sounds like he's held back significantly because of his foot skills. And it just becomes a case of whether or not he can maximize his talent around that skill. Like, he wouldn't be the first player who can't kick that's made it in the AFL. But it does seem like as time goes on, he's a little bit less likely to be able to fulfill that talent. So I'm not going to predict him as a breakout player, but I do see the upside.
So inside word on Essendon trainings, they are trying to convert Elijah Sardis into a big-bodied midfielder, similar to a Josh Dunkley style of player, which would...
That's what I would have described him as, though.
Would you?
Yeah.
I always would have seen that he was drafted as a more... Well, he's like 186 centimetres, so he's tall. He's getting bigger, I suppose, like the frame over the last few years. I think he was drafted certainly more as an offensive player.
Okay.
Sort of
I understand the distinction now.
Yeah, more of like an athletic midfielder with a bit of height. So the kicking's always been a question. But I think playing that role where you really just defend and then you hunt the ball going the other way, your kicking gets less exposed as a player as in that position, essentially, in that role, let's say. So I think they can do that. And I think that could, if he was to lock down that role, he's really replacing someone like a Will Setterfield who is on the way out anyway.
Or Parrish, who's been out of the team, I think, from memory. I'm a little hazy, but I think
the problem with a Parrish and where Sardis could get over somebody like a Parrish is the size.
Yes.
Because Sardis could actually play on a Patrick Cripps, for example. He could play on a Tom Green, whereas Parrish has no chance. He's just too small to play on a guy like that. So I think he has an advantage. And if they go youth overall in that midfield, I think he's a chance.
Yeah, I like that.
You got anyone else?
This may be a case of a season where a lot of these younger players improve, but no one necessarily breaks out. So I'll throw some names like Isaac Kako.
Yes, he's on my list.
Yeah, I think he fits that category. Zach Reed.
Good one. I didn't put him down because of the injury, because I don't know how far away he is. But
I have this list of injuries, and I don't remember having Zach Reed on it. I can't. Actually, forgive me. I don't know the update on that. We also didn't mention Sullivan Roby, by the way.
We didn't. I never, because on my list, I didn't have any first-year players. I know I mentioned Farrow off the top. He has just started running again, Roby. So he had stress fractures that's kept him out of training.
Yeah, okay.
So he is going to struggle. Reed's a good one, though. Reed was having an incredible season before he got injured last season. I just don't know where he's at body-wise.
Yeah, me neither. But I think he could be
He would be a perfect example to go. Yeah. I think he's like all-Australian quality.
Yeah.
Particularly a defender like that has the potential. He's not there yet, but with his body work and stuff like that and his size, he could be a really good lockdown defender, and he's such a good kick. You get like a Swiss Army knife with him, the way that he can move the ball out of defence.
Thomas says Archer May.
Not a bad shout. Is he quality enough, though? He didn't kick a lot of goals in the games that he played last year. I was really impressed with his competitiveness in the air. He gets to a lot of contests and he fights, but he didn't have the best goal return. I think that's probably where he would have to turn into to go to that next level. But he could break out a little bit. Is he in their best 23? When you look at, does he get ahead of Peter Wright? Does he get ahead of Langford?
It's hard to tell when they've had so many players out. I've started to forget what their best 23 looks like.
Yeah. Well, I would say Peter Wright was their leading goal kicker last year.
Yeah.
Langford has been their leading goal kicker, but he missed a lot of footy last year. And then Caddy's kind of the third. Like, I don't think he'd want to play another full-time key position player. So, like, he has to kind of fight his way in first. But if he does, potentially yes, and then he's ahead of those guys. So it's a shout.
Couple of other players I want to shout out as potentially taking their game to the next level would be Archie Roberts, Angus Clark.
Yeah.
Would they establish themselves as guns? I mean, I said Roberts did have a really strong season.
He was really good, wasn't he? I mean, there's an argument that he's already broken out. I mean, he's not he hasn't gone to an All-Australian level or anything like that. No. So there's still potential. Does he sit on what he did last year and just consolidate, or does he go again?
Yeah, it's hard to say, but for the role, it's not as though he can be winning 10 more possessions a game, realistically. Maybe, but I can't remember what his average was. But, I think there's a little bit less scope there. What about Rogue One? Rogue One. Great film, Star Wars.
Rogue Riot.
Nick Bryan. Oh. Is that cringe, or did you like it? And snarl at the same time?
My body sort of shook a little bit.
What I mean is, I think he's coming off the ACL.
He is.
But Essendon now have a gaping chasm in their ruck department. And someone's going to step up. There's Vicentini as well.
Will it be Blackiston?
Yeah, so I saw Blackiston play key back, and I'm not sure what his role will be. He could ruck.
Yeah, well, he was rucking when he got picked up in the midi last year. He was rucking in the waffle.
Yeah.
I think it really depends with that fight with him and Vicentini. I think most Essendon fans believe that Blackiston would be playing round one, but obviously Nick, as a pure ruckman, Brian is a better ruckman, right?
Yeah.
So I think if he can get back from the injury quickly, he's definitely in the mix. I don't know if I could see Blackiston going to like the next level as a ruckman.
Fair. I am Pixelism says he's only just got back running. Oh, is he talking about Roby? He's talking about Roby. Sorry. He says Roby has started training. He's back from the hotspot, but not up to full contact. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think. He started just like slow jogging or something at training this week.
Gotcha.
And Pixelism saying Blackiston will ruck at the moment. I can't recall with the ruck stocks is if Vicentini is injured or he's just fallen behind Blackiston as the nominal ruck at this stage.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you that. I think the Brian one's still a good shout though.
It's just a curveball there. Well, like a player with no profile outside of Essendon.
And there's a spot just opened up with Draper, right?
Yeah. And, the maturity. And I think he's decent, but it seems like not everyone agrees with that, which is fair enough. Just threw it out there for shits and gigs. Shall we move on to Fremantle? Speaking of shits.
Fremantle, they've got a few, I reckon.
They definitely do have a very strong list. I just want to be a dickhead.
The question with Freo would be a lot of their players. They've got a lot of young players, but they're already really good. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like for example, you go Caleb Sarong's probably 23.
Yeah, Sarong and 24. Turning 25 this year.
He's not going to get much better.
Sarong and Brayshaw are probably close to their ceiling.
Yes.
Which doesn't mean they can't win Brownlows.
And they can have better years than other years and stuff like that. So it can fluctuate a little bit. But I don't think like Brayshaw's putting, like you said before with Roberts, like he's not putting another 10 disposals on his list or anything like that. And he's already kind of filled his game out. The one that I would go to first is Judd McVie coming over from the Demons.
Yeah.
I think he just automatically has a spot there for him as a distributing defender. Bit of a medium type. So he would be the first on my list, but you don't really know how it's going to work and how he's going to fit into that new team.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of went more top level with guys like Hayden Young and Luke Jackson, who I think can actually take their game to the next level. They're not young players. Well, they are yet relatively young, but that's not like a 2 to 3 year player who can explode. But Hayden Young getting a full season is a little bit like Fremantle's Will Day, right? Just him getting fit.
I agree with you. And he probably hasn't had... Now I'm saying that I'm like, did Hayden Young the previous season get All-Australian when he had his first kind of breakout year?
I'm not aware of him being an All-Australian, but I could be wrong. Let us know in the chat.
Interesting.
Certainly not as a midfielder, I don't think.
Not as a midfielder?
No, he's been a mid for a little while.
He wouldn't have got it as a halfback.
Yeah, I don't think he's an All-Australian.
I reckon the back end of his 2024 season was incredible. That would be the season that I'm talking about, but he may not have gotten All-Australian. Thomas Pate says Jackson already one of the best rucks. I think he was right in the mix for All-Australian last year. He'd be very much on the cusp, right, of being a already broken out player.
You said Luke Jackson, sorry?
Luke Jackson.
Yes, but I think he's so young for a ruck, and there's ruck rule changes, and if he can build on his capacity to play as a midfielder,
I agree.
Then I think he counts. Yeah,
I agree. There's level in him, and then when you contrast him with a Brayshaw or a Sarong, there's room in Jackson that isn't necessarily in those players, and he hasn't necessarily fully filled out. And Hayden Young, I do agree with it. I've definitely taken a different road here because I've gone Erasmus as another option who
seems like a long shot to me.
It seems like a long shot. He had a good finals. I was about to say series, but they only played one game.
Yeah. Remove the S. Look, I think he is a hard-working, like workman-like kind of player that can be a long-term AFL player. I don't see him having a breakout season.
I've always seen him as one of those midfielders that gets picked up because he's tall.
Yeah.
And there's that kind of potential around having that extra height, like 190 centimetres. But he doesn't really have anything else outside of that. Like he's not particularly skillful. He's not particularly physical.
He's playing a role outside of what he was drafted to as well.
Yeah.
Where they've had to repurpose him.
Yeah.
And that's because Fremantle's had a competitive midfield. But
100%.
as somebody just said in the comments, lower class, he says Erasmus would have happened by now if it was going to. I largely agree. You can't rule anything out, but I kind of agree.
Pixelism's also dropped Noddy, who I've got down as well, contract year.
Who? Noddy?
No, Nathan O'Driscoll.
Yeah, that's Noddy.
That's not.
I live with a Freo fan. Nathan O'Driscoll is Noddy.
What did I say?
Well, I said Nod and you said no, Nathan O'Driscoll.
Oh, did I?
Maybe I misunderstood. Let's move on. It's getting weird.
Yes. Let's land the plane.
Yeah, Nathan O'Driscoll. Yeah, you're a bit of a fan, aren't you?
I like him.
Yeah.
I think he's got qualities of Hayden Young.
Really?
He's raw, but he's got that dynamic running ability. He's got that left foot kick, which at the moment is a little bit wayward, I think. He hasn't really quite honed that in, but I think his technique lends itself to being able to get better over time. He's got really good penetration to him. So I think he's got a clear spot that he can come into on the wing, but if he can get more midfield time, and I think that there's a chance that they could offer that to him because of having like a Brayshaw and a Sarong, who are those just every week putting in a shift type midfielders. He gives something a little bit unpredictable, I think, to the opposition. And I think he's got traits that definitely stand out at AFL level. He's a goal kicker too. Like he likes to drift forward and kick.
Clutch as well.
Clutch.
Which is a difficult thing to quantify when valuing players. But it's
so from the younger brigade of players that haven't broken out, I would say he is right up there to have like his first genuine becoming an AFL player.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. I'll finish off with one other player that is already pretty good and could be very, very good, and Josh Tracy.
Yeah.
So those are three high upside players for Fremantle that could really take their game to the next level.
Devil's advocate on Tracy. Sorry. I get what you're saying. Is he high upside?
Relatively, yeah. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a very powerful and competitive, potentially match-winning kind of key forward. Will he win a Coleman? I'm not sure, but I think he'll be.
I feel kind of like I agree with everything you're saying, but I feel he already is, and he's quite consistent, and he doesn't really need to I wonder what he could do to actually make himself better, more consistent. Like there's obviously room for growth. He's very, very young. He's a key forward, so there's that natural growth. But I feel like he's got himself to such a good level so early already that he doesn't have a ton of room to grow.
He's never been All-Australian. Kick more goals. I think he only kicked for maybe less than 40 last year. I'm going off the top of the head there.
How many did Voss kick, I wonder?
I reckon they were very similar to each other, and I can't remember exactly the numbers.
I love their forward line because I like how it doesn't... I don't think either of Tracy or Voss are like extreme talents, but they're very powerful, very physical, and they're brave.
Yeah, and they win games.
They win games.
Particularly Pat Voss.
Yeah. I think we covered that. I would go... My major breakout contender, I think like most likely for me... Oh, actually, I did have one more, sorry.
Yeah,
Heath Chapman.
Okay, yeah. I haven't watched him closely for a bit. I did like him, and I get the impression that Fremantle fans moved away from him a bit in terms of perception. But I see the raw ingredients there.
Yeah.
So I guess from that point of view, he could break out because he could improve.
He's got a nice little step on it. He's one of those guys that we just need to get a little bit more, obviously, like high volume. He's been sort of used in different types of roles at times, been in and out of the side. So there's a spot there, but then I've kind of listed Judd McVie. Are they really fighting for the same spot? Potentially. You could play both of them. They're both pretty versatile. So but then they've got other guys there. They've got Draper back there as well. He's probably a bit taller.
Yeah, a bit more of a taller defender. Yeah.
Lower class bum. I'm just getting some feedback.
It's Brum, by the way.
Jeez.
Which I think is Birmingham.
You know, I think I'm having difficulty.
Class bum.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's cool.
I'm so sorry. Cool. He's not tough enough. Lower class Brum says. So fair enough.
Who is this? Sorry, Chapman.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, okay. So lacks physicality for lower class Brum. Fair enough. I think he's got talent on the ball for sure, but that doesn't necessarily equal breakout. I'm going to go with McVie.
I'll go with Luke Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah, I know slightly different lines we're arguing down there, but
I like
Who
it.
cares?
I
We
like
talked
it.
about it. It's fine.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Cats.
I do have they've got a surprisingly young list, like in terms of balance. Like they've really re-imaged it over the last few years. They were where Collingwood was like around 2022. Sorry, they were where Collingwood are now in terms of list profile.
Yeah.
They did a massive influx of young talent, and I think there is a good spread of good quality talent. And I think there is a few options here. I think that, well, we saw Ollie Dempsey, Lawson Humphreys, young players who have profiles across the league. We have the reintroduction of Tanner Bruhn,
Yes.
a forgotten player.
Yes. Wow.
I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but he could be considered for here.
Yep.
And then a couple of talls. Connor O'Sullivan.
Got him.
Yeah. And Shannon Neal, I still think you could say could have a breakout season.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call. I think, he kind of burst on the scene last year, didn't he? So he's one that he's another one where you go like, is he already good? But he could definitely, he's got levels in him.
Yeah.
He's an athlete too. Can run. He's so quick, being that size. And I think he does, like as a key position forward, the bravery on him is a significant piece as well.
Yeah.
I've got another one.
Yep.
A little rogue. I think Oisin Mullen. I
yeah.
don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
In my head, it's like Ocean.
But
that's just something I told myself to make it easier to say. Like, I don't know if that's right.
I hear people
Ocean.
use a sh sound in the middle, so I don't know if it's like Ocean or... Let's stay on this for longer.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good. No, but I think he kind of made his trade as a bit of a lockdown type player, played on those dangerous types of players. I think now that he's had a bit more experience in the league, he's a little bit more mature, he could actually step into a player that is more offensive for the Cats. So there's another lever there that they can pull to improve, I think, with a player like that. He was apparently a really, really highly touted Gaelic footballer as well, like a superstar over there. So I think he's new to AFL, which makes him have to do it this way. He's not a Nick Dacos, you know what I mean? That's just a brilliant footballer already. He has to learn, but I think he can be unleashed a little bit.
Yeah, I like that one. That's not one that I considered, but I agree with that assessment. That all being said, there's a few options there. I don't know if Humphreys or Dempsey will have the growth this year.
I think there's an easy answer.
And who's that?
And you've already said it.
Shannon Neal?
No.
That's who I would have gone.
Really?
Yeah. Were you thinking Connor O'Sullivan?
Connor O'Sullivan.
I like it. Like, I don't disagree with it. I think that's perfectly valid.
Yeah. He would be the one for me. Yes. I'm going to go him.
Yeah.
Over Shannon Neal. But that's a good one.
Yeah. I think, I don't expect Jeremy Cameron to really slow down, but over time I can see Shannon Neal sort of replace. Well, there will be a shift there. Whether it's this year, I'm not sure. But reaching maturity.
One just came into my head. I've forgotten his name. The guy that came over from Henry.
Oh, yeah. I suppose with him, he's already had like a 40-plus goal season at Collingwood, I think. No, was it 2022 Geelong?
Maybe.
Yeah, no, it was 2022 Geelong. So he did have a big season. But good call. A player that could... Does it count if he returns to old form? I don't know.
Kind of already did it. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's really ever... I know you're saying that he had a 40-goal season, so he kind of did it. But like it never felt like he'd taken that jump.
I think when he's part of the Geelong machine, then maybe he gets lost a little bit there. But it's worth pointing out that he could have impact again, which I don't think has been there recently.
You did mention Ollie Dempsey. He was one that I put in the basket. I didn't have him down. Like, he's already too good. And I don't see him quite yet coming in and playing midfield or anything like that. And I don't think he'd want to do that with Ollie Dempsey. So I think he's more likely to have a same year that he had this year, which would be amazing for them.
I agree, totally. I would say the same thing about Lawson Humphreys.
Yes.
Different caliber of player.
Different caliber.
I think he's proven himself. But
I think Humphreys is lower quality, but I would totally agree with that. I'm going to go Tinkle.
Okay, cool. All right. I'll deal with the chat. Don't touch the walls. Well, that sounded weird. Lower class Brum says, you're barred from Birmingham, Dylan. I like it. Lawson Humphreys is a Pilbara boy. That's right. Wasn't he considered the Nick Dacos of Irish footy? That is correct, actually. Well, I say that. I do remember that also. And lower class Brum agrees that Shannon Neal is definitely the one. Thank you, Daryl Baker, by the way, for that assessment. Thank you so much for being here, guys. It's been a while since we've done this. I think the last show we did was after the draft. Yeah, we did a draft review. I reckon that was the last show we did. And while it was nice to disconnect a little bit and just live a normal life for a little while, it is also nice to reconnect with this thing that has been a big part of my identity for a long time. That was a very loud and violent flush from Dylan. I'm wondering if that is coming through on the microphones. You're listening to True Footy. New Heaven says, know what happened to Brady Hoff for the injury? It's been a busy week and I didn't really deep dive that, but I believe that Brady Hoff is facing a 3 to 4 week layoff. I think he landed awkwardly in a marking contest and it's an ankle thing. But I am actually not 100% certain on that.
It's a pretty big loss, that one. Sorry.
That's right. I was just going to read out. Orc enthusiasts can't see Jackson ever being AA while Freo are playing Darcy. 1 million a season for 12 mediocre games. Yeah, and then Mason Cox coming in as well.
But I guess that's your point, right? Does he actually just end up being a midfielder?
Yeah. Yeah, possibly. I don't know if, that's what I'd advocate, like to just be a full-time midfielder.
Would you consider the Mason Cox appointment as just a backup? Or do you think they're all going to coexist?
It's a weird one. My instinct says don't do it. But I think there is an intention to play him in the team with the extra spot on the starting 23 now. What that looks like, I mean, the only implication there, or the only conclusion you can draw is that Jackson will almost certainly not ruck much.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll see. I could be wrong.
I do see the appeal. I like the dynamic kind of messy ruckman that Jackson is, and sort of, jumps at the ball and then just goes after it himself. But I do feel when you have a midfield of Sarong, Brayshaw, who can get their hands on the ball, you do want that kind of beacon like a Darcy that kind of just hits it down their throats as well. Yeah. Gives you a little bit more control.
He wins clearances himself too.
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
When he's playing well.
Yeah, that's where I wondered maybe a Mason Cox was kind of more of a Darcy replacement because of his body. They want to play that way and he just makes sure that they still can. Whereas when Darcy gets injured, typically they have to go to Jackson because they don't have another lever to pull.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think they ever really rated Tracy that much. Who are we up to?
We are up to the Gold Coast Suns, another team with a strong depth of young talent. We could be here all day.
I've actually got so many players listed.
Yeah. So there's Yulin and Batterson, obviously, are expected to have strong impacts in their first season. I've sort of ignored them because there's so many others you can focus on and it's too easy. But worth mentioning, they could probably both play a role in 2026. They're high upside players that have been around for a little bit longer. I think Bailey Humphrey stands pretty close to front of the pack as the highest upside and the confidence that it will happen as early as this year.
It always helps with that epic finals performance that he had last season. It's fresh in your mind and you're like, if he does that consistently, we're going to be talking about this guy.
Yeah, exactly. They also have Jamari Ugle-Hagan in addition to all the players that they've just drafted. And in terms of upside.
The Predator just got new weapons.
That's right. Further to that, I also wrote down recent high draft picks, Leo Lombard, Jake Rogers, Ethan Reed, Jed Walter, and even someone like an Alex Davies.
Yeah.
Because he just played really well towards the end of the season there.
Yeah, he did. I actually think of all of those. I remember we spoke about it a little bit and we were talking about which of those big-bodied kind of inside mids, there's like McRae, Dev Robertson, like that type of player. There was a bunch of those that could have been moving clubs.
Just ended up at West Coast.
They all ended up at West Coast, except for Alex Davies. And I just think Alex Davies was probably the best of all of those guys.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I totally agree there. It's whether, again, for him, he's probably one of those less versatile players, Alex Davies. So
yeah, totally.
Does he get in with all of the guns? And they're going to want to bring Patterson and Newland in for exposure as well. You got like you mentioned, Jake Rogers and stuff. So it's going to be hard to break into the team, but they're going to want balance. So someone like an Alex Davies could work.
I just think what bodes well for him is that he came in towards the end of the season. I can't remember if it was the finals or late home and away season. And he had like a 34 possession game or something. So he just they saw his value in an actual AFL game.
What would be your player compare for him?
I don't know. How tall is he? He's about 6'3", isn't he?
He's big. He'd be 190. I'm pretty sure. And he's a big body.
I mean, how many 190 centimetre mids? I mean, he's not particularly explosive.
No.
So just more like that.
Tom Green?
Yeah. Good call. I was struggling for players there, but I was like, it's kind of a generic player. You can think of so many examples, and I just couldn't think of any. Thank you, Tom
He doesn't feel quite as like compared to someone like a Tom Green who like gets that real like ogre mode sometimes. Like he doesn't feel like he gets as pissed off.
Sure.
Maybe that's just his demeanor more than anything else. But I think he's that type. Like could maybe say he's like a Dunkley or someone like that. But I don't think Dunkley can push forward, hit the scoreboard. I'm not sure if he could do that, but could add balance to the team. I would say to not go on about all of these players so much. My actual favourite one for a really good breakout here, and I'm going a little bit off Broadway, Bodie Uland.
I knew you were going to say Bodie Uland. Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon he has just looked the part so much, but we probably haven't seen like a really, really top level season from him. So I think this year is the year.
Does his role cap a little bit what he can produce in terms of being a breakout player?
Maybe.
Considering he was good last year.
Maybe. Because he is kind of that third tall, and he's more likely, I think, because of the way that he plays and the competitiveness that he has, he's more likely to get jobs. They'll say to him, take Toby Green out of the game, for example.
Yeah, true.
Or like he could even get someone like a Nick Watson at times. I know he's taller than him, but he can go with someone at ground level like that. So it does cap you. Lockdown players, particularly those small lockdown players, are really important, but they never get many accolades, do they? But I think if he can get on the ball a little bit more, which he's actually good at, he could become a... Who could I compare him to? I don't know who I compare him to. Like a Nick Newman for Carlton, someone like that. Who's a
Will
bit
he
of
be as high volume, do you think?
I think he could be.
Yeah?
I think he could be.
Because Newman is a genuine ball winner.
Newman's a genuine ball winner, and he plays in a team that doesn't have a lot of those types, whereas Gold Coast do have a lot of those types. There's Noble, there's Rioli, Yuland, Patterson coming into the team as well. So there's plenty of guys, even Will Powell's. Will Powell's another big breakout contender for me too.
So is Charlie Ballard.
Oh, this is fucked.
Yeah, we are doomed. I
Did
think
you
Charlie
mention Leo
Ballard's-
Lombard?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I'll to bring it back in, I'm going to say I think Bailey Humphrey is my number one.
Yeah, fair.
I think so is Jamara. And if there was one...
Does that count?
To have two?
No, to have Jamara.
Yeah, because I would say he still is awaiting his breakout season.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right.
I'll go Bailey though. And I think if there was one other player that I've mentioned here who has the chance to surprise and be the best of them, Leo Lombard.
Yeah.
I think his upside is tremendous and he's ready-made.
I completely agree with Leo Lombard.
Yeah.
I think he is an absolute gun. I would say I've been pretty impressed with Jed Walter.
Yeah?
I've got to say. So I think he would be right up there.
Yep.
Did you mention Mac Andrew?
No. I think I just got bored listing the first dozen Gold Coast Suns who could break out. I clearly forgot an obvious
I
one.
know he's been like on he's got enormous contracts and stuff like that, but has he actually had a proper breakout year?
No, I think that counts. Okay. Yeah, he's got a profile.
Maybe it's Mandrew.
Mandrew, indeed, yeah. I honestly, I think there's so many options here.
Yeah.
And none of this is a surprise to the viewer.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll say Bailey Humphrey. I think that's
after all that.
Yeah, that's a natural one.
Yeah.
I'm glad we talked it through though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I actually laughed at when I was putting the Gold Coast's breakout players together?
What?
I reckon we're going to look back in 10 years' time and say in 2025 for that last season, how the fuck was Jai Farah in this team?
Yeah, true.
Like, there's so many good players, and he was a mainstay at the end of the season.
True. Yeah, good point.
He can't play this year.
I think it's funny, or even just like when I've looked back at like old Eagles grand final sides, and I've gone, oh my God, that guy's a premiership player.
Yeah.
Or he was in a grand final team. That does happen.
But also, you guys wouldn't have had, I know,
it's
you
a
guys
little
wouldn't
bit
have had
different,
the just obscene amount of talent that this Gold Coast Suns side has. But I guess that does sort of show you sometimes that you would still go for, for someone that gives you balance and can probably just play a role as an experienced footballer over a young talent in that situation. So I think that's something to note. The next team that we have are the GWS Giants, who I think are another tricky one.
I think there's two clear candidates.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So they have drafted a lot lately and not exposed a bunch of these players. So I'll mention some names like Finney's Goddard.
I like names.
Ollie Hannaford I've really liked. James Leake, Harrison Oliver, Cody Angove. Players who've either had little to no exposure, right?
Yeah.
But I still think these two young players count as breakout players in Aaron Cadman and Finn Callahan.
No.
You don't think so?
First one, yes.
You
Second
think
one,
Callahan's already arrived?
100%.
I think.
Yeah, I have to go back on that. He had an incredible 2025.
In my head, it was not a full season. Did he get injured?
He did pick up some injuries. Yeah, he did.
Because he wasn't all Australian.
It wasn't all Australian. Like, it would be a very, like, if Callahan went to any sort of next level, he's AA for sure. And it was probably games more than anything.
Yeah.
I would almost say. But yeah, no, I thought he was incredible. I reckon the reason that you're saying that is because of that time that you were moving to Melbourne.
Maybe.
And I reckon he probably played his best football in the first 10 rounds.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Burst on the scene last year. So I wouldn't have him, but definitely Cadman. Cadman, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with Cadman's ability to hit the scoreboard for a young key forward. I know he's not a player who relies necessarily on being the bigger frame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's why key forwards usually take longer, right? But Cadman's a little bit more of almost like a transition key forward at times, and he plays hard
Show
at the
me
field.
Cameron.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's too much limit on what Cadman can do this year.
Pixelism agrees with you. Callahan has more gears to go.
Yeah, I suppose the question is, can he improve?
Yeah,
and will he improve?
And that's a different
Because Sam
question.
Darcy could probably improve a lot too.
Sam Darcy could improve, but I wouldn't call him a breakout contender either because I
Sure.
feel like he's gone to that level. But yes, I do think there are gears.
Yeah.
There's definitely gears. I have one more player from the GWS Giants.
Yep.
Fontempelli. Joe Fonte.
Oh, I was like, who the hell is that? Yeah, okay. I like that. I didn't mention him, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of
Thiemann's
talent.
product.
Oh, was he?
Mm.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so is Bobby Hill. We don't produce a lot of talent. We got Buddy Franklin though. Anyway.
But when you do,
Yeah, everyone hears about it.
yeah. I mean, the one that I would love to see would be Ollie Hannaford, just because I love him as a player.
Mm.
I just hope he gets a bit of exposure
Yeah.
this season.
Yeah, I like that.
That would be great. Hawks.
Relatively, well, I wasn't going to. They're not a particularly young side, but they do have young talent sprinkled in.
They do.
I'll start with some obvious ones.
Yep.
And I don't think it runs too much deeper than this, in my opinion.
Let's hear it.
Josh Weddle.
Yep.
Nick Watson.
Got him. Yep.
Cole Shadir.
Cal Shadir. Yeah. Yep.
I think those three are in one tier.
Yep.
Then you can, we're expecting bigger things from Cam McKenzie. Sam Butler also, as a player that looked good in limited opportunity. I'm not saying he'll be all Australian, but I think that he could be a player that is dangerous for oppositions potentially.
Fair enough. As that small forward.
Yeah,
in that role.
Yeah, I think there's talent there.
The one that sort of feels, I mean, I think Weddle is the clear, really, really obvious one that can go to that top level. But I think from a role point of view, I think both Connor McDonald and Cam McKenzie would be the ones that could take that Will Day role.
Connor McDonald, true. Yeah.
With that injury. I think they're the ones that are going to go inside, and that gives them, if you consider their age plus the role availability, that could propel them to the next level. I'm more bullish personally on Cam McKenzie. I just think he's a really, really technically gifted midfielder.
Yeah.
He just needs to probably...
Well-rounded.
Yeah, he needs like that confidence to be a bit more physical in there and probably just needs the exposure to be able to do that. Whereas Connor McDonald feels like there's less of a ceiling and he's already more exposed and has already played better football. But McKenzie can go to that like higher level for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice. Although I am Pixelism says he's been playing midfield in the preseason, has been looking good. I think that might be Connor McDonald he's talking about. So a bit of a role change maybe for Connor if he gets a bit more time.
Well, I think they're trying to spread the load essentially. So like rather than go, we have a Will Day replacement, we're going to slightly bump up the boring way of doing it, isn't it? But yeah, Nick Watson's a part of that group as well. I think Nick Watson will be used more sparingly, let's say, just for something for a little bit more dynamic in there.
Yeah, totally.
But I would say if I was drawing a line under this, Josh Weddle has to be the standout as a breakout contender, and then I would go Cam McKenzie next.
Interesting. I think Watson could be a breakout player still.
Yeah,
for me, what that looks like is just more goals. He's capable of having big seasons in terms of hitting the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And I think he scratched the surface of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Really important position to Melbourne.
Okay. Good quality young talent on the list. I've gone for a range of players who have been good before, and I think I've got a premiership player in here. But I've also gone young.
I've gone real young.
Yeah.
And I've kind of capped it, I think.
Okay. So let's agree on who the young players are.
3. Actually, there's too many.
That's a terrible idea.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Okay. Harvey Langford, Xavier Lindsay, Caleb Windsor, Colton Tholstrup. I think you could sort of include Van Rooyen because he's a bit older.
He hasn't broken out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the main ones. Am I missing anyone?
You know what, with Van Rooyen, I'll make a case against it. Brody Mychek comes in, and I don't necessarily think that helps him. I think Mychek just takes more of the entries.
Sure.
And Van Rooyen stays in that same... I knew it. I could feel it coming out of my mouth. Van Rooyen probably just stays a little passive.
Sure.
I think is that kind of second tall. You mentioned Windsor. I think that's a great shout, and particularly if he gets midfield opportunity, which is there.
I like him.
Langford.
You think the clear option? Yeah. Yeah, I'd say probably out of the four I mentioned, most likely. But I included Trent Rivers as a player who could, with a bit more responsibility, I think we've seen really good signs. And when I say midfield responsibility, and we're looking at a midfield that needs a bit of a different look from some one-paced similar players.
I'll ask a question just to give some colour here. Who would you prefer, like long term, who do you prefer? Who do you think's a better prospect? Rivers, who's a little bit older, or Windsor?
I suppose with the Windsor, my mind just thinks there's more risk.
Yeah.
But I think he has
he's
more...
further away from the hole.
Yes.
There's a golfing analogy there.
Okay, thank God. I think that he has more like offensive punch, if that makes sense. Like, I think he could be more devastating if he fulfills his potential.
Windsor, yeah.
Caleb Windsor does.
Yeah.
But then, Trent Rivers is so much more accomplished to this point that it's hard to say,
There's
take
Windsor.
Windsor.
There's definitely a similarity between those two players.
Yeah. I think if you looked at a highlights package, Caleb Windsor could have the better one.
Yeah.
But Trent Rivers probably might be. Well, it's hard to compare them, different stages of their career.
They both got a beautiful burst on them.
Yeah.
I want to throw one up. You could argue that he did this last year, but I think it was in a fairly, not small sample size, but a medium sample size in Daniel Turner as a key position defender.
True.
I think he had a great year.
Yes.
I'm excited about what he can do, and I think he'll be a leader in the defence next season. So I think he's got levels still, probably more from a consistency piece than actually going up to another level.
Yeah.
And I've got one more.
Yeah.
I've got one more for you.
Hit me.
Jefferson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, almost the forgotten man. I did think I was forgetting someone. I went through their recent draftees, and Jefferson was 2022, so I skipped a year there.
I had him in the when we were kind of like workshopping some video ideas. I had him in like players who need a big year, because I think this is probably it for him. Like, he has to show something this year.
Yeah.
But he's been doing really well in training. They had a match sim the other day, and he looked obviously for the team that he was playing in. Like, he looked really dominant in the air. Maybe this is his year. And then when I think about someone like a Van Rooyen, I'm like, could Jefferson actually surpass someone like a Van Rooyen? I don't know. Maybe.
The impression I get is that there isn't a lot of hope that Jefferson is going to be that player at the moment. So I don't really have a strong opinion. But he was drafted in the first round for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a relatively high draft pick. But yeah, I think someone's also put Jaff in the comment section, which is probably someone that I didn't think of because he's moved over from Hawthorn. I think there's a role there for him, and he's looked really, really good in training.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to see it.
I think he unlocks the Rivers, Windsor types to the midfield.
Yes.
Because of what he provides off the half-back line as well. I think he can play wing as well. So he's a good one for them. I'm going to go as my number one option for Melbourne. Pretty clearly here, Harvey Langford.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
I think he just was so good last year.
Yeah.
North.
I mean, there's not a lot of young talent. Jesse. Anyway. Okay, look, I'll throw some names at you.
Yep.
Sheasel could probably be considered if he becomes an All-Australian player, but like probably not quite right for the topic.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, we've been inconsistent with how we apply it, but...
Oh, for sure. That's what this show's all about.
Yeah.
Do you think a player like Sheasel, here's a question, if he was playing at a top-level team, say he got drafted to a Collingwood or someone like that, do you think he's already, based on the catalogue that he's put together, is he already AA? Or do you think there's something actually also missing to his game, not just the wins and losses for the club that he plays for?
That's a tough one. He's close. Sometimes you can look a lot better if your passages end up in a goal. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So like that probably is an element here. I do think there's a gap, say, between Dacos and Sheasel, personally.
I do too.
Definitely. But yeah, I think he's around the mark. Like, I think he's an All-Australian caliber player.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, you can loosely apply that to players that you think are not far off, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I asked that question, which makes it kind of sound like that's what I think, that if he played for a Collingwood, he would be AA. And I actually don't necessarily think that.
Yeah, I wouldn't lock it in, but I get your point.
I think he's been brilliant, don't get me wrong, because not many young players come in and do what he's done. But like, I think there are still pieces missing for him to become a really, really good player.
Totally.
I want to talk about some of the North players because obviously I support them, but
there's quite a few, yeah.
Someone mentioned him in the comments earlier, and I think it's just a clear, obvious breakout contender if the body is fit.
Yes.
Role is there. He's I think this guy is just absolutely awesome, George Wardlaw.
Yeah, totally agree. I think in terms of the gap between what he is at the moment versus what he could be as soon as this year, there's a huge jump potentially there. And a few years of development now, I think he could play his role as that explosive midfielder and be very good at it.
Yep.
No argument from me. I think that's probably the single individual one. I think, there's some high draft picks there with different stories like Zane Dersma, Colby McKercher, who for him to be considered a breakout player, he'd need to change the role. Because I think if he's...
Kirch?
If he just stays in the same role, he's already producing really strong numbers. And was it the back end of the season he really tore it up?
Yeah.
I love the kid. I just don't know if it'll be breakout unless he becomes a midfielder.
He looks fucking awesome at training at the moment.
Yeah, he's a very aesthetic player to watch.
Very aesthetic.
Yeah, I love it.
The movement's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's got good speed and like the way kicks the footy on the run.
Yeah.
So good. He was having one of those passages in training the other day where like he's kind of like, like taking the piss, bouncing the ball where you're not really even moving and you're kind of just like walking around and players are trying to chase you and you're kind of bouncing one hand and then like just moves a little bit.
Yeah.
It's training.
Yeah. And some players dazzle you with the way they look. But I'm not saying that's McKercher, but it is a little bit of a factor.
I have had issues, like I reckon early last season, I had issues. He was playing that high forward role, which like obviously requires you to come up to stoppage a little bit more and be involved in more of the physical aspects of the game. And I felt like sometimes he was like really easily maneuvered and sometimes just honestly like didn't really want to crack in as much as he should have. So I think that's maybe a criticism to go to that next level that he needs to have. But I see a world where he is a Goulden type player for North Melbourne. I think that's kind of the prototype for him.
Is the sort of play the opposition does not want to see in space with the ball.
Oh, God, no.
No.
God, no. Keep him in the contest.
I think Foss could have a big season.
I got Foss.
Yeah, I think he constitutes a potential breakout year.
Position?
I think that he could still have gears to improve and break out at halfback. I am not really across like how likely is it that he plays halfback versus mid or forward. I mean, you do have a decent amount of mid-sized forwards. You've also got a few midfielders and you've got some other running halfbacks there. So I don't know what's best. I think eventually I'd like to see him as a midfielder, high half forward.
Agree.
Primarily as a midfielder though.
Yeah. I hope he gets at least 40+% centre bounce attendances this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
But I think he's another one, probably because he's only played that one season and the type of player that he is. I do think he'll take a little bit longer. Like I don't think he'll have a massive year this year, but he's getting there. He's important for us as well. They're probably the main ones really for North, aren't they? McKercher, Wardlaw, Foss, Sheasel's probably in that more like top level
different
jump. Different level of jump. So
what about two players I want to throw at you?
There are more.
Trem Bath.
Oh, Tremmy, yeah. Good shout.
Yeah. I think that's a good shout.
I don't know. Like obviously for him it would be just playing the full season.
Yeah.
At that same sort of level that he did.
True.
Towards the end of the season. I don't know if he's got like what the gears are in somebody like him, but if he can do anything like he did back half, it's a partner for Nikolaki. Something a bit more long term. Did you have another one?
Braden George. Are people still hoping that happens?
Is he injured again?
That sounded disrespectful. He has been so injury prone.
I think he got injured. I'm pretty sure he just got injured again.
Oh.
Yeah, freshly.
That sucks.
Like quite freshly.
Yeah.
Let me know in the comments there, North fans, but I'm
Yeah.
almost certain I saw that.
He's been a breakout player in each one of these videos I've done for like the last 4 years.
Him and Hardiman. Hardiman's kind of getting there now.
Yeah, okay.
But I remember like for a while it was like, when's Hardiman going to play? When's Hardiman going to play? And George, I think I don't think he's going to get into the team, but someone that like I'm always impressed with when I go down to training is Taylor Goad.
Yeah, right.
He just looks really good. What I suspect will happen with him is he'll end up, I know he's just under contract, but I reckon he'll end up getting fished out by like an SA club to go home if he doesn't start to get played at North Melbourne pretty quickly. But I rate him. Yeah. I reckon he'd be one of the better backup ruckmen going around in the competition for another team to go after.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. So I'd say Wardlaw is the one.
Yeah.
With Sheasel a chance to really improve as well. Move up a notch in perception and ranking in the league.
I'd actually like to know what the comments think there, because I do think some people would probably say McKercher.
Okay.
Some people they're saying O'Sullivan. The only thing I wanted to mention on Dersma, who people are talking about, what I said about Elijah Sardis, I think they were same draft too, off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, Sardis was 22, I thought.
Oh, he was one before. Yeah, sorry. But
yeah.
Similar type players, like top-end draft picks. Could you play Dersma as like that big-bodied mid, like a defensive mid? I know Luke Urquhart has been talked about this preseason for North Melbourne as kind of playing that role to give us a bit. You know, we've got the McKerchers, the Wardlaws, the Sheasels, but needing that defensive balance. So Urquhart's there, but could you maybe turn a Dersma into a defensive mid?
Does seem a waste of some of his best traits, doesn't it? Yeah.
But is it like, what's more of a waste? Wasting his best traits or wasting him completely as a player and he gets delisted in a couple of years?
Yeah.
Not saying that's going to happen.
Yeah. Don't know. Interesting.
Super.
Yep. More Saints cues, sorry. First of all, thank you on an impulse. Appreciate you. More Saints questions. What do you feel the main deficiencies are in St Kilda's list and who do you think they'd be able to trade in? That's a significant curve from where my mind just was.
I can jump in here.
Yeah, please.
I think it's difficult with the team. Good answer. It's difficult to say. No, but with where St Kilda are, they've just brought in a ton of new players, so we don't have any data on them.
Yeah.
It's a completely different look. If you could say off the top of your head, when I did their best 23, I said this team looks amazing on paper or something. I think that was the headline of the video. And it actually genuinely did. I think probably the team that I built, you could say that it lacked a little bit of experience. Like they've moved a Jack Steele out of the team in the midfield. They've got McRae there, but how long he stays in their best 23, I don't know. So I think it's more of a, for them, it's a boring answer, but it's kind of like a maturation thing. It's playing together and it's seeing how some of those young guys, what they develop into, and are they going to have enough superstar level players, which always seems to be a question with the St Kilda. But with the drafting that they've done, already having Nasiah Wangadeen Miller as a bankable, genuine superstar player, like a top 5 player in the competition, and then to have Philippou, to have Darcy Wilson that could go to like top level players, I think the building blocks are there. So it's a wait and see. And I don't think they have a glaring deficiency anywhere where you're like, oh, they need that player. Like maybe a key forward if Max King can't get his body right.
That was what occurred to me. I was thinking Max King is currently a decent solution, but it feels like not locked in that he will be that player.
He would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but on his own, I don't think it's a deficiency. But
and I actually think Sharman is like the perfect second tall.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's just, are you going to have that player all the time? It's probably a big step down for the next guy that you bring in, which probably at this point is like a Keeler or somebody like that. Or maybe you throw Caminiti forward.
Yeah.
From defence, you've got Tyroo as a swingman. I think the pieces are there. It's just like us finding out what they become.
TDK and Marshall will sort of rotate through there as tall targets. But yeah, interesting.
Bert just said also Little Hammy for B. George.
Cool.
Okay, so not a serious one. Yeah. But I remember that popping up in my feed. Oh, God. I just realised who's next.
I actually think this makes it easier.
Yeah,
we're talking about the Port Adelaide Football Club.
Just skip it then.
I think to explain that reaction, not a team that has really invested in the draft so much other than, say, a Joe Berry in recent times.
Yeah, Murray, that 24 draft, I guess, was pretty solid. They had, but it wasn't necessarily all at the high end. They got some good players, a little bit similar to West Coast in a way in that 24 draft where they got some bargains. Jack
Yeah.
Whitlock,
Yeah.
Christian Moraes,
Berry.
Berry. I feel like there's maybe one more. Did they bring through somebody else? Was it Cochrane? Might have been from that draft.
Yeah, he would have come in that year, I think.
Yeah,
I think he's no, he wasn't NGA.
He's done an E too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's bad news. But yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of players sitting in behind, but they've done a lot of, I want to say strange, I don't want to be too judgmental, but like a lot of players that you would put in that sort of list cloggers category that they brought into the team, like the Will Brodies and
Corey Durden.
Yeah. Rory Atkins was last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jacob Ware was this year as well.
Jacob Ware, he's probably the best of a bad bunch. Too brutal?
It's honest. Look, I think we can narrow the focus to who are the young players that are more likely to break out this year, like step up.
Yep.
I would say that Bergman
He's
and
my top one.
Jordan Sweet in the chat as well. I kind of in my head thought Jordan Sweet did have I feel like they already stepped up. Do they go again?
Jordan Sweet.
Bergman more in particular.
Bergman had a really impressive year,
Yeah.
but there's definitely there's levels to that for sure. Like he really showed like explosive burst of pace, a bit of midfield time. He's a taller guy. He'd really played all his football before that at halfback, so it's a different move for him. Again, there's definitely levels, and there's also a consistency piece to that as well. So he would be. I think he's clearly the front runner for them.
Fair. What about Jason Horne-Francis though?
He's my next one.
Really? So you'd put because I would have ranked him Horne-Francis just for the pure upside.
I suppose I'd probably put Horne-Francis lower because like his top level's been higher.
Okay.
To this point.
Okay.
So it's like less of a clear breakout maybe.
Gotcha.
We haven't really stayed consistent on how we're doing this.
No,
it's a vibe, right?
Yeah. But we're taking the opportunity to discuss the players, which is why it's good content.
Where's Horne-Francis? Like for what he's done in his career today, like he's been a really good goal kicking offensive midfielder. Last year, I feel it just didn't really last year was the breakout year for me. Like it was teed up to be that, and it just didn't really happen. They had a shocking year. He picked up injuries. The coach goes, all that kind of stuff. He's never been All-Australian. Is that the only thing that he kind of needs to aim for, like that as a top level player? What does he need to do?
I think for me is week to week production.
Yeah,
because at his best he's outstanding and shit. Watch out, he's on. But I think the natural development for him will be to do that more often. Now, I think if they're not the same sort of player necessarily, but Dangerfield sort of moved through that development path himself where, you know, I'd say even outside of 2016 where he was on it every week when he won the Brownlow.
Yeah.
But Dangerfield's been a bit more high impact. I think Horne-Francis will go through that transition of building up how consistent his production is and win the occasional game, maybe more than occasional. And then towards the back end of his career probably becomes that like, oh shit, I forgot how good he is.
Yeah.
You know? So to answer your question, I think it's week to week production. I think he still has, I think if he does that, it's a breakout year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that's, I mean, clearly if Port Adelaide are going to do anything in 2026, I'm not particularly hopeful of that. It's like, it's midfield based, right? It's Butters, it's Rosie, it's Horne-Francis, and maybe Bergman becomes a key piece of that. Maybe that gives you the flexibility to throw Rosie back again.
True.
Mitch Georgiades has been training with the midfield group.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
A bit.
Why would you do that to a guy who just kicked 58 goals?
I don't know. And I don't think, I don't necessarily think he'll play there.
No.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe
he is an athlete.
He's an athlete. And he looked good.
Yeah, right.
He looked good in clips.
Interesting. I mean, it's worth trying. My first reaction is you've got a strong midfield. And you've got
a really poor forward line.
Yeah.
Take the best forward out of it. Yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe it's like a, something where they can throw like a cat amongst the pigeons. And it's like, it's then becomes difficult for a defender to stay with him.
Yeah.
Right? That he can come up.
See, when you first said it, I hated it, but now I'm kind of excited by it.
Yeah,
Like, what if it works? Because then you could have a superstar if he becomes like a midfielder who then can kick 58 goals in the forward line. Not at the same time.
I like that kind of versatility too, where like Georgiades comes into a centre bounce, right? Like just picture this. And then all of a sudden, like a Horne-Francis ends up isolated forward. And like he's going to do some damage as well. Like he'll kick goals in that role if Port Adelaide can get the ball out of the middle. So I think that's a big one. I had another one. Jace Burgoyne.
Oh, yeah. He's already bloody good, though. But I suppose he could improve, yeah.
Yeah, there's levels, right?
Yeah. I like that. I sort of ignored him a little bit in my mind, but
He's probably one of those guys, he's not like a recent draftee.
Yeah.
And he's just in that sort of middle tier.
Yeah. Moraes as well. I don't think we talked about him enough as being a likely chance for this.
Sure. On Moraes, I would say like clearly has levels to go, and I think he had a really good first season, particularly his early body of work. Does he have the top level skill like to go to that next level? I don't know, but maybe. He's in the mix.
I do recall his ball use was an issue pre-draft.
Yeah, and Berry obviously. You said Berry. So
yeah, true. I did rate Berry. Yeah,
I'm probably still going Bergman. I think he's the obvious, most obvious one.
I'll go JHF.
JHF. Richmond.
Difficult one. So many quality young players that like a bit young. And we saw some breakouts from guys like Tom Brown, most notably Seth Campbell.
Yeah.
And some others probably. But, outside of maybe Gibcus, who has been around for a while,
just injured.
The other players are just so young. I think you have to say Sam Lawler is a strong contender because I do think it's very realistic he has a great season.
I think there's two of that age group.
Gotcha.
And I reckon the other one. Sam Lawler and...
Taj Houghton. Yeah. I agree with that. So, I guess when I have said it out loud, it is realistic that Lawler and Houghton have breakout seasons.
Yeah.
But I just thought, there's some other players that are quite raw. Like you can't predict Josh Smiley. I think he's also battled a groin this preseason.
Yeah.
Jonty Fall also so young, and then Grillen coming will be contenders, but like we sort of decided to ignore the first year players here.
Sure. So. I think the Falls and the Armstrongs and the Simses and those kind of players are naturally going to be a bit more flaky given their keys, right?
Yes.
Trainer had a good first season. He could probably improve again upon the body of work that he did. I think an interesting one would be like a Campbell Gray.
Oh, yeah.
If he could get in the team.
Yep. Somebody also mentioned Sam Banks. I don't mind that shout.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think for me, it's Sam Lawler, though.
Oh, he's just absolute quality. I reckon him and Taj Houghton will be like... I could see that, like that group where you've got Lawler, Houghton, Sam Cumming and Sam Grill, like being some sort of a version of like West Coast's midfield back in the day, like the Judd, Cousins, Kerr. I know I'm going huge.
That is huge.
And it's like, when you say those things and then it comes out, but like they're just so talented, all of those players. Like I totally agree with David King's assessment that
Ferraris.
It's like a bunch of, it's the luxury car suite.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere. Like I think it's true. I think what that looks like in 2026 is difficult because they're not ready. But it's there.
Pat Rechko. I think he'd be like a bit far back in the pecking order of the players we just discussed.
For sure, he could do something in a role.
Yeah. I honestly don't know anything about him, but I just remember that trade.
And the last one I had was actually Tom Brown, who you mentioned before as already broken out, which I agree with.
Kind of,
but there's levels to that too.
Yeah. No, I think he can still absolutely count. Yeah. I just mine went to the youth. Or the real youth first.
Player compare on him. Would you say that like he's got traits, not as good, but like he's got traits of like a Josh Weddle?
He's not the athlete.
Not quite, no.
And a better kick, I would have thought.
He is a better kick.
Yes,
I agree. More of a ball user, less of an athlete. But there are some. I think he's quite athletic. I think he's one of the fastest players at the club. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, gotcha. I suppose so then, yeah. But it's not a comparison I would have made off the top of my head, but yeah.
Weddle's definitely like more of a specimen. So I know what you mean by that.
So tall as well. Both of them actually. Similar height.
Bloody tall. Sydney.
Tough. Not a particularly young group. There are some younger players in there that I would describe more as role players. So like Sheldrick, Corey Warner come to mind.
Oh, Warner. Yeah.
They have recruited Jai Sarong.
Yep.
I think that is a decent shout as being a potential player who could play a role, but also be a bit of a breakout player considering he's just a Box Hill player mostly at Hawthorn. Malcolm Roses Jr., another player coming in with a limited profile that could look good in a good team, and I expect Sydney to be a good team. could we see a breakout from Logan McDonald? He's probably the one in terms of the age coming off injury that
I didn't have him down. It's actually a really good point.
I think for him, what that looks like is 50 goals. I suppose there's Curnow, but I think it's still possible that he could kick his career best season in goals and Curnow also, because I think Sydney will have the midfielder supply.
You actually reckon Curnow makes it better for him?
No, not necessarily that it makes it better. We're not going to embrace that, chat. Thank you for the donation. Not that it necessarily makes it easier for him. I think Sydney generally will be a better team, and I think Logan McDonald is maturing.
Yes.
And I think that at his baseline, he can kick a lot of goals.
He can. And like we definitely haven't seen the best of him. So if he gets a full run at it, and I think you're right with the midfield element. What about a Jesse Detoli, a forgotten man of the 2024 draft?
Yeah.
A lot of quality. Seems to be, he had the back stress fractures last year
Okay.
to begin the season, which meant he had kind of a slower preseason. It meant it was less likely. He came in really late. Didn't do much, to be fair, in his limited exposure late in the season, but off a proper AFL preseason, I feel like he could get into this team at least.
Yeah. I actually feel a bit annoyed that I didn't mention him. I forgot about him. Who else did they draft? Ned Bowman.
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot about Ned Bowman.
Medium forward,
Yeah.
rangy type that kind of plays as a tall and small, like very skinny. I'm trying to think of a good comparison for him.
He was a bit of a bolter. Like, I remember hearing about
Massive
him
bolter.
in like Toomey's Phantom the day before. And
yeah.
I think he had West Coast drafting them, and that's why I remember it so like clearly.
He's like a like prototypical of like Ashton Moyer, someone like that, where they're like a taller forward, hybridy type.
Yeah.
That sort of player. Maybe Gunston similar. Something like
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah.
Did you said Roses Jr., right?
I just realized I think that's a fake account.
Is it really?
Yeah. I think that's a fake account.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks real.
I'd like to clarify that because let's be fair. I'm just confirming it. It is a fake account. It is a fake account. But he did drop $2, so thank you. I might go ahead and just hide that. That's just disruptive.
Yeah. I just see something in there about so-called friends, and kind of like I covered earlier. It's not a friendship.
Is that from the same person?
I think so.
Yeah, like it's just disruptive.
Yeah.
But I will take the money. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Hugh. Yeah, look, Hugh, like it is important to clarify that that's not Druzy. But thank you anyway for the donation. Sorry, where were we? That just caught my eye while we were talking. We talked about Sydney, Ned Bowman, Ashton Moyer. These were features.
I'll throw another one. Braden Campbell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, true.
Good ball use.
Yeah.
Like a really nice kick of the football. But I don't know, like it never really...
That's probably the most obvious one actually you could have named.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I thought it was more left field. But I do know, like he's kind of been coming for a little while, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I just listed a few of their younger players who I thought, I don't really see Corey Warner or Angus Sheldrick having breakout seasons. But
I just don't think they're quite good enough.
No, but I think Campbell's a little bit different.
He's got more weapons.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. I think I've always, he's never really locked down that position, but I've always thought he would have been better across half back, where you could use the control that he has and the dynamic off the half back with like the long kicking and stuff like that. So he fits in there. A player that broke out a bit last year was Wicks.
Yes, yeah.
More of a lockdown defender, so not as sexy from an offensive point of view, but he was another one. And I do have a good one here. I think I have a good one that could go to like a more top level. Justin McInerney, contract year.
Okay, yeah, right. Interesting. Talk to me.
Well, I think late last year, I have a feeling he was dropped mid-season. He came back and played really good football. He got some exposure in the midfield under Dean Cox. I think there's levels to that with like, they've had that Heaney-Warner-Rowbottom combination. He's like somebody else that they can throw in there. He's got height, he's got reach, and overall, like a pretty skilled footballer. Like the package of him is pretty good on paper. I just think it's always been like a physicality piece.
Yeah, okay.
More than anything. And maybe a bit of the role as well. So I think he can go to another level. Someone
in the chat, and I just want to see it. Oh, here we go. Sleeping Shadow. Logan McDonald's playing back in 2026. So I did not know that. So forget the goals, but I suppose like if he has a good year, it's a breakout year.
That's still a breakout
They
year.
do need to reinforce that part of the ground.
100%. So they've done it with Sarong.
Yes, and McCartan will be there.
Yeah.
And Joel Hamling's been retained.
Joel Hamlin.
I don't know if I'm tripping on that. I don't think he's necessarily best 23, but I think he is still on the list. Don't hold me to that. Oh, Melican will also be in the mix.
Melican.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty consistent for them over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We will keep going. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted there by the old live chat.
Yeah, I think there's a bit going on. In any case, having said all that, I think Campbell's probably the most likely out of it. You've talked me around on that, even though you were surprised at how much I liked it.
Yeah, I was. I actually thought that would have been one of those ones where you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no. Sainters.
I did miss him. Okay.
We didn't really confirm one on Sydney.
I went Campbell.
You went.
It's not this.
Okay.
I can praise Sydney's team all day. It's just I don't know if there's a clear contender outside of that.
I'm gonna go McInerney.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna take that one.
Yeah.
Take that little bait. I like Brayden Campbell. That's a good one.
Yep.
Saints.
This one has.
I feel like we've touched on a lot of them because
we
of that.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, I'll just list a bunch. Should I do that? I don't know where to start.
It's actually funny because somebody's just like, have you talked about St Kilda yet? We're just about to.
Yes, good timing. Mateus Philippou, Machito Owens, Alex Taru, Darcy Wilson, Toby Travalia, Hugh Boxall, Hugo Garcia.
Yep.
Am I missing anyone obvious there?
I'm trying to think of the players.
Liam Henry?
Yeah.
In terms of young
Yeah,
player.
like he has to be discussed, I suppose. I didn't have him in my best 23.
Neither did, I think it was Fox.
Yeah.
Because I was just had that open and he had him as emergency.
Because I decided to go with Wilson on a wing and then Mason Wood as the other one. I also didn't have Brad Hill. So I kind of went for the experience of Wood and the youthfulness of Darcy Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
You could play Henry as a half forward as well, but they are starting to get more options in those positions when you consider Garcia. They've also got Higgins as more of like that deeper forward. I'm trying to think of the other one that I had on the other flank. But I think you've listed there pretty much all of the major contenders. Yeah. Most of their talls have got a few more years in them. Like they've got like at the back right, they've got Wilkie plus who's the second there at the moment?
Backs.
It's Silvani.
I just had it right. Silvani, sorry. Yes,
yeah, so it'd be Wilkie and Silvani, and they're both like mature players. Yeah, no, I think you pretty much covered it. I guess the question is there, who is the most likely based on potential breakout and positional advancement?
Yes.
That is going to break out of that like Wilson, Philippou, Windhager, Tyree, Travalia group.
The player with the most upside is Philippou.
Yep.
But I'm kind of compelled to say Darcy Wilson is more likely to take the jump this year.
It's the arms, isn't it?
It's the guns, man.
It's the guns.
You can't be that jacked and not improving.
Yeah. What about a consistency piece and you just go Windhager?
I feel like he's kind of already gotten to that point, to be honest. Like he's been a strong defensive player for a while.
I think he was like 5th or 6th in their BNF
Is
last
that right?
year.
Yeah.
So like that's pretty strong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to go past Philippou or Wilson.
Wooden Spoon Data, welcome mate, says you're forgetting Max Hall.
Oh, Max Hall.
Yeah, good point. I see. I go to the draft. Was Max Hall like mid-season or something?
He was mid-season 2020. It's actually funny when you look back on that because it's the one with we drafted Geordie Payne first. Jacob Blight to Richmond was second.
Yep.
Jasper Scaife, I think, was third to Hawthorn.
Or did we take Hutchinson at 3? Is this 2024?
Oh, yeah. Hutchinson was in there too. Scaife was 5 maybe. And then Hall was in between at 4.
Yeah.
He's turned out to be the best one of all of those players.
Yeah.
I would suggest. So they've done such good things with that pick. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat again. Good for me.
Grimsby has dropped $2. Thank you, says Druzy to full forward. I will acknowledge the super chats.
I see it come up and I'm like, it just distracts me. Okay, I saw the name and I'm like, oh no, what's going on here? I'm going... I reckon there's an argument with the Max Hall conversation that he definitely... There's a consistency piece there, but I reckon he kind of broke out last year. He kicked like 30 goals as a high forward.
Who did, sorry?
Max Hall.
Max Hall. Did he kick 30 goals?
Yeah, he's ridiculous
Wow.
last year.
Yeah, right.
Close to. Like, I don't know if it was quite over the mark, but it was close to 30 goals. He was absolutely brilliant.
Interesting.
I'm going Philippou.
I'll go Darcy Wilson, just be something different.
Nice.
I mean, we've acknowledged both. Philippou definitely has the most upside.
2 to go. Western
Yeah.
Bulldogs next. West Coast next.
Alphabetically, we are ahead of the Western Bulldogs, and I will not stand for this Vic bias.
Sorry.
I also think St Kilda should have gone before Sydney, but that's all right. I am a little pedantic about the alphabetical order of things. I'm so sorry. West Coast Eagles.
Go.
Another team with a lot of younger talent, and I think there's a few contenders, but I do think to stand slightly ahead of 2 more as the 4 strong contenders. To be breakout players, yeah.
What did you say? 2
I was going to say 2 stand out above the rest, but I reckon the other group of 2 are just slightly behind, and then there's probably a bigger gap.
Got you. Yeah.
So I will stick to the 4.
Okay.
Harley Reid is clearly the number 1 contender for me. I think he's in outstanding shape at the moment, and I think he will be very motivated by a season in which he came into it underdone, and I am very optimistic that he can be that player. Now, I don't think he's going to be winning 30 every week, but if they find a way to manage his minutes like forward and back, I think we'll see a fully fit Harley Reid, and I think people will be like, oh shit, I forgot he could do that. Tom McCarthy, huge contender. I think he's my predicted Eagles best and fairest winner.
I actually didn't even have him down.
Why not?
Which is scandalous. Probably more because I forgot.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But no, I think he's a really good one. And particularly, like, you have that. It's always good when you've got something with a breakout contender tangibly to connect them to, which is him moving from halfback to the midfield, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Which is not necessarily a guaranteed success, but...
No, of course not.
But I think his footy IQ and his athleticism...
Yeah.
He doesn't look like an athlete, but he is... his movement is crazy.
I've seen kids like that at school.
Yeah.
Like, just...
How recently?
A long time ago now. But he's got that, like, kind of, weird sort of gait. Weird running style, but just sort of gets it done, like very effective. I think the one that is not the most talented of these players, but probably has shown the least is Elijah Hewitt, but probably stands to have almost the biggest jump of the lot of them. I don't think he's better than Harley from a talent point of view, but I think that he has shown less than Harley, so his improvement could be better.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he had a few games where he did break the game open and he was BOG a couple of times.
Yeah.
With him... I think that consistency and impact, I mean, I suppose that's true of Harley too. I think Harley is a little bit more ready
Definitely.
to play that role. And I think when you look at the numbers, like Harley Reid's by far and away the Eagles' most consistent midfielder in terms of how much time they spent in the midfield. He's been overexposed. It just shows that he's ready, and Hewitt's been protected more.
Yeah, I think a player like Elijah Hewitt, it's a bit of a similar story with someone like a George Wardlaw, where they have so many problems with their body and they lose confidence in themselves as well. I think that's one of the biggest drivers for affecting consistency.
Sure. That's an interesting point, yeah.
But I think, I mean, if all of those 3 broke out, you're probably winning 7-8 games.
Maybe, yeah. I will throw in one more. Job Shanahan.
Yes.
Probably more just in terms of output. Just like, I hope the Eagles will be better. He'll play a full season. If he kicks 1.3 goals a game again, which he did, that's a 26-goal season. So I think it's conceivable he improves to a 30-goal season. And he will have the support of Jake Waterman, which in this case I think will make his life easier compared to having no one. I would say that would constitute a breakout season, if not on the same level as a Harley Reid, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we didn't actually mention him, I think, in like the Rising Star conversation.
No, we did. The one we did last year?
Oh, no, the one we talked today.
Oh,
I think somebody asked in the comments before.
I think you asked me who's the favourites, and I don't think Job is a favourite, but he could be good.
I see him having a really good year, though.
Yeah, I do too. So I think those 4 stand as the clear contenders.
Diggity dogs?
Yes. So you said that Sam Darcy can't be a breakout player, and I get it. But if he plays a full season, I still think there's like an 80-plus goal season coming. That would be enormous and have to be considered a breakout.
I just didn't have him because he's too good.
It's completely fine. Yeah. But I will just say that I would consider that one. I think then if you look at some of the younger talent, I'll go through some names. Joel Frazier was probably the one who best fits the video concept that has been all over the place, but nonetheless.
Yep.
Younger player who could really lift his output and has shown enough to suggest he could be a serious game breaker.
Yep.
Some other younger talents that they have would include Riley Sanders. I've got
Sanders.
Yeah, probably around midfield opportunity. James O'Donnell, I think, has been up and down, but I think could be a good player.
I like that.
And Jed Buslinger also has been starved of opportunity and maybe doesn't have A-grade potential, but they are a team that needs to sort out their backline. And I think O'Donnell and Buslinger are key variables.
Buslinger's the one that, like, the spot's there. The position is there for him.
Yeah.
But he really hasn't shown enough when he's played to kind of lock it down yet. I think O'Donnell's ready.
Yeah.
The issue with O'Donnell, I think, in that defence at the moment has been that he's not quite big enough to play on like the big dogs, and they sort of need him to, given like how their composition is done. Did you say Davidson?
I didn't, but I did have one more, but I'll let you speak to Davidson.
I thought potentially, just given how much of an impact he had in his first year, that with a little bit of confidence, another preseason in the AFL, he could go to another level. I'm not sure how big that jump would be for somebody like him, but I think it's a big one. And you definitely mentioned Riley Sanders, who is also in a contract year, which also can help with motivation. And I had Lockie Jakes as a younger player, drafted again in 2024 in the 30s. So in a pretty strong draft, he was kind of around that mark. And another one of those like hybrid defenders. Carmichael's gone down with an injury, so they're not going to be able to use him early.
Oh, yeah, right.
So maybe someone like a Lockie Jakes gets that opportunity to be a bit of a distributor.
Didn't know about Carmichael's injury.
Yeah, I don't know how bad it is though.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll wait and see on that.
I like it. I will throw one more name into the mix, and this may not happen for him this year because of opportunity, but Jordan Croft has a bit about him.
He does.
I've
liked him.
He played against West Coast at the end of the year, and I like just with his movement and like his talent, I just went, oh my God, not another one.
Yeah, I know.
We're also about 80 points down.
Father son,
Yeah. I think could be a very high quality player. I think there's been some suggestions he might play back because of their list balance.
Yeah.
But from what I saw as a forward, I was like, this kid could be good.
Just play Norton back. I don't understand.
Yeah, true.
Just play Croft forward, Darcy forward, Norton back.
Yeah.
Easy, Bevo.
True.
Easy. That's all I had.
Yeah, that's all I had too.
That is all
That's
I had.
good.
I'm going to get a glass of water.
Cool.
I
will leave with the chat. We got a couple of people just asking about the Druzy situation. I would urge you to just go back to the start of the video. We spend half an hour on it, and at least, and we've agreed that we'll leave it there. So it's there if you want to see it. Ben says, Jesse, Matt always is not no one. I like that. Waterman coming back this year will be very important for West Coast structure, leadership, ability to find the goals. A bit of love from Reef for Bo Allen, which is true. Lost a little bit in what I think is becoming a deeper list of Eagles young talent that hasn't been there before.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Bo Allen too, like at this point, to say at this preseason that he was going to break out, like you kind of would have need to have seen a little bit more of a platform.
Yeah. I think for the role he's going to play, there's also not a guarantee he plays round one. So not expecting it. He might just be a slow burn and be a good role player over time.
What do you think his role is?
I think over the next little bit and preseason, it'll be defender. They've been flirting with him playing a little bit taller as well. So a hybrid, sort of like Jinby. You can't really be seduced by like where players are playing preseason. So often it proves to mean nothing.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see, because I think for him to reach his full potential, it needed to be as a midfielder or a wingman. But he could just become a good defender. And that's not a bad outcome. But I don't think a breakout this year is coming. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I am going to go to the Tinkle Palace. I'm going to do my best not to annihilate this wall again, which I was warned about.
It's a tough gig.
Yes.
At least you're not wearing a black shirt.
That's true.
Sleeping Shadow. What's he got here? Shani will kick 40 plus goals minimum. Wouldn't be surprised if he kicks 50 plus. I'm going to have to get your opinion on that. I think that's a tall order. particularly with Waterman back in the side consistently. I mean, how many is Waterman going to kick? He'll be 60 plus, I would say. Really, 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 really difficult there. Bo Allen, great athlete, but needs to improve his skills. Yeah, for sure. I think you saw last year like his competitiveness and those kind of traits and the athleticism for sure, but he sort of needs to, I think he needs a position as well. Just have some role consistency, I suppose, to be able to get into AFL, but he definitely hasn't sort of like been able to show it and put it all together. Connor Buderick, is there to help the back line? That's a really good point. I think with the Jakes and Carmichael discussion, I think for me, Buderick's a bit more of a defensive type small defender, more of a lockdown type, whereas say a Carmichael or a Jakes are probably more likely to get on the ball and be creative. But he is definitely going to be one back there. I think they'll try to fulfill those like Oscar Baker type roles back there with a little bit more quality. Hamish Davis could be something at some point. Yeah, I think he's a good size. I think he's been training in a wing role for West Coast at the moment. So like his endurance is really, really, really strong. So can play that role. And he's, as a marking player, gives something to that wing role that's a little bit different. Jesse talking about Sheasel and Reid. If so, what did you... that's a good question. I did see that debate. I'm, as much as I'm a North Melbourne supporter, I think it was a good debate. And obviously, like when you're a North supporter, who Josh was in that moment, he's got to defend Sheasel. I think the narrative is kind of there for everyone to see. It's like Sheasel is probably the less upside player, but he's had a better body of work so far in the AFL, where Harley Reid is a younger player. So let's remember that first. His first season was incredible. He probably plateaued because of his body a bit last year, but he probably, he does have more upside than someone like a Sheasel, but he clearly hasn't had the consistency of someone like a Sheasel. So I think they're different types of players, and the suitability of what the club needs from them is kind of different as well. So I don't think that, like with someone like Reid and Sheasel, like it's a good thing for entertainment, it's a good thing to have a debate about, but they're just different, right?
Yeah, if I can speak to that as well. So we had a night with the Footy Fan Network, which is run by Backchat, where they got us all in a room and we had a variety of different debates and podcasts and stuff like that. So I was prepared for the one defending West Coast priority pick, and I lawyered up and I was like, I'm going to beat him on so many points. That was what I prepared for. The Sheasel, I spent most of the night talking to Josh. He's a lovely guy. And then the Sheasel v Harley one was told to us 5 minutes before we went on, and we had to pick a side. Obviously, we were just going to pick our teams. So there wasn't a lot of like real heat in that. Afterwards, not to throw Josh under the bus, but I think he said like, actually, I agreed with a lot of what you said. I thought he did an outstanding job of making the debate for Sheasel. Like it was a really good debate. I did my best. The fact of the matter is, in my opinion, Harley Reid over time will be the rarest specimen. There's no argument that Sheasel's not better now. Yeah. So we were arguing down different lines. It was good fun though.
Yeah, and they almost, like for me, they almost serve, like the two players kind of serve two different purposes. I think in a well-functioning team, you probably need both of those types.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the argument would be that Harley Reid's, and that's why he went number one in the draft. He's a bit more rare.
Yeah. It was good fun debate. Good fun debate. And not something I think about, Reid versus Sheasel.
Do you reckon we wrap up?
Well, I was going to ask if you wanted to do the tier maker or wrap up.
I reckon we wrap up today.
Yeah. I'm pretty hungry.
I'm too.
A little bit drained.
I'm a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah. I just thought because you went to the effort of that I was like, I'll do that.
No,
I'm happy to call it.
That's good.
We've also done 3 hours, so.
Yeah, not to kill the stream too early, but the part at the beginning was a bit tough to get through. A lot of like stress around that, anxiety around that. So I think we'll probably just go with that sort of one major topic today. I think from a footy perspective, like we look forward, and I think we'll be a bit more ready to go for the next streams coming from now.
It was very hard to prepare for this stream in the way that we normally do. It's been an interesting 48 hours, and I suspect this will continue, at least for me, for a little bit longer. But I'm very hopeful that it's played out publicly for the last time. So Anyway, won't go into that again. If you want to see what we said, it's at the start of this show.
Sure.
Also, sorry, one person did ask if we're running fantasy leagues this year. I don't know if our producer is able to get the graphic up one more time.
Yeah.
We are working with Game Day Squad for 2026, and that will be the league that we run. It's a great platform. Go and check it out. In time, we'll be able to get into more detail about how to play if that's what you want to learn. But it's a great platform. I've worked with Game Day Squad previously, and the promo code gets you some extra packs. The way you recruit players, you don't buy them in the game. You unpack them as footy cards, and that code True26 will get you that. The league code there is to join the private league. So you go to the private league tab, you type in that code, copy and paste it. It should be in the description of this video, and then you'll be part of the True Footy comp, and we'll keep that running throughout the year.
Well said. Well said. I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't really ever got into like a proper dynasty league type situation. Like I've never done the keeper league.
Yeah.
So I'm keen to start that
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Sorry about having to sit through that beginning bit that went for a long time. I know, but we sort of had to get that off our chest.
Good thing it didn't happen in grand final week.
Yeah.
Or the draft.
Yeah. Don't give him any ideas.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with crypto. I am Pixelism. Absolutely nothing to do with crypto.
Nothing to do with crypto.
No,
Fantasy.
it's a free to play game.
Fantasy football, free to play. Guys, thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode. And all like the donations and stuff and the feedback was great. So thanks to everyone. We hope you can tune in for the next episode, and we'll see you later.
The anxiety came back.
It just wouldn't go away.